Hello and welcome to the third and final round of the Cloud Sports SEAT Leon Eurocup Online. That's brought to you by Omnibus, Servermarket, PlaySeat, and of course, SEAT. We're going to see some of the best sim racers in the world taking it on one-on-one to bring home an amazing prize. In the commentary booth, I'm Ali Tack, and I'm joined here by Edward Hunter. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's good to see you again, especially after the last time I was commentating with you at Long Beach Road to Vegas. But now, new competition this time, and it's the championship decider already. It seems to so much action, and we're already at the final two rounds.
Absolutely, it's flown by. We've had some amazing races coming through to this point. Some brilliant overtaking moves. I still remember one in the first round where I think Ferrer made a move on the final corner of the track in order to bring it home.
Yeah.
That was outstanding. So there's been some brilliant racing here, and I think we're in for some more tonight. Are you up for bringing us through the championship order?
Yeah, let's go through the top 20 in the grid, but it's the ones at the very top that we'll all be watching today and most interested in. So, leading the standings on 161 points is Miguel Ballester. And trailing him by 4 points on 157 points is Kristine Kwiatniewski, followed by Nikodem Wisniewski on 1 point behind. A little bit confusing between those two names. They're very similar, but I'm sure very different characters, very different drivers. So next down in fourth position in the championship is Jair Borges, who's on 123 points. I think he's a little bit too far back to fight for the championship, but still, if Wisniewski or Kwiatniewski slips up, we may be able to get close and take advantage. Then we have Oliver Holdner in fifth on 111 points. We have Juan Ibanez in sixth on 95 points. Bernd Brosmeyer also on 95 points in joint sixth. It says seventh here, so I guess they must be count back these behind Ibanez. Jesus Cecilia, who we also saw in a couple of other Cloud Sports series, he's in eighth place at the moment on 90 points. Jose Berenguer, who has actually got starting quite high up on the grid in this first race. He's in ninth, 86 points. Adrian Ferrer in 10th on 71. Oliver Fortin, 11th on 69 points. David Unzu in 12th on 67 points. Fabio Asuncao in 13th on 58 points. Eric Cardona in 14th on 57 points. Borja Hernandez in 15th on 48 points. Hal Mountino in 16th on 46 points. Sergio Rodriguez in 17th on 42 points. Gonzalo Cortez in 18th, also on 42 points. Jose Pelaez in 19th on 39 points. And in 20th, Adam Farmer on 37 points.
Absolutely. It's a great shame that we haven't seen Jesus Cecilia coming through to this round, not qualifying for the last round of the championship. So he'll find himself, despite being in 8th place in the championship, not able to score any points. I think we saw him in the previous race not having the greatest time with lag, and I think failing to finish one or two of the point-scoring races. So maybe something to do with it.
Yeah, Cecilia a little bit unlucky. We also saw in Road to Vegas, he had great pace, so it's a great shame that he won't be here today, but that means the 8th place is up for grabs for Berenguer, Ferrer, and the guys behind, and it won't be the top prize, but there's a little bit of pride at stake getting into the top 10, or the lower half of the top 10 rather. So
absolutely, it's a fantastic top prize we've got on offer for this SEAT Leon Eurocup. It's a drive in the real SEAT, the little sporty roadster that we're seeing them come around here on, and so the SEAT will set you up in the actual car and take you out to a race, and the whole thing will happen in real life. So incredible for sim racers to give
just
that
a question,
opportunity.
because I'm not totally familiar with the price. Will they be up against other SEAT Leons driven by professional drivers that know the car better, or will it be just other similar touring cars?
I believe so. I think it's a series a lot like the one we're going to see here, which is SEAT Leon only. And so, yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for these guys. But we've seen sim racers really bringing it to people who have maybe come through motorsport from more traditional lines, like go-karting, Formula Ford, these kinds of starter formulas. And we've seen them coming out and bringing it to these what you might think is more traditional drivers in the past.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so many great programs out there that are sort of starting to develop. I think the one that springs to most people's minds is the Nissan Academy, where they had is it Nissan GTR Academy? Yeah, Nissan GT Academy, where basically it's a lot of the guys from there, like a Wolfgang Reap is a good example of someone. I think Wolfgang Reap is from that, and Jan Mardenborough, of course, drove for Nissan when they had their full factory program at Le Mans, which sadly the plug got pulled on that, but he's still driving in other endurance races. A lot of people have gone on to great success from these sorts of programs, and I think it's amazing, really good to see it have sort of jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak, and got a piece of the action.
I
Get
agree
some
absolutely.
really good
I think
talent out of this.
it's no coincidence that we see people like Miguel Balesta, Hitnuski, and Wisniewski. I think top 1, 2, 3 in the championship are all alumni of that GT Academy. So incredible. You can see the quality that they build out of it, and it's great to see them moving on to other series like the SEAT series. Really cool. We're waiting for some cars to get on track at the moment. I think we're going to be having a practice session in a second. We'll certainly have a 20-minute qualifying session coming up first. Just waiting for the cars to come on track. So we're going to just take a short break, just because we've had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So we're going to be right back with you in just about 5 minutes.
Sorry about that, a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back now, just waiting for practice to begin, and I'm afraid Ali's just gone for a little bit of a break. He should be back very shortly, but yeah, it's very exciting to see who's actually going to come out on top here. Of course, Miguel Balesta leading, done very well over the course of the season. We talked about a couple of other drivers, Christian Kwiatniewski in second, with Nikodem Wisniewski just behind. Those are the three we're going to be watching today, and a lot of what we've been seeing, it looks like Balesta seems to have the best pace on this track so far. In practice, he set a time of 1 minute 51.334, which is by far about a tenth faster than Wisniewski's in second, who's the closest person to him. And yeah, it would be interesting to see if that pace translates into this practice session and of course the qualifying. But yeah, and unfortunately Ali knows a lot more about what's happened earlier in the season than I do, having commentated on it. But yeah, it's been a rocky ride, and the prize, it just sounds really amazing to get to drive in a proper SEAT Leon Eurocup car, and I'm sure, like Ali was saying, they'll be completely up to the challenge. So what we're looking at now, we can see Wisniewski in the garage while we're waiting for the session to start, and Wisniewski. Oh, is that you, Ali? Are you back?
Certainly am.
Sorry, I was struggling to think of things to think about, because obviously I've not been commentating that as long as you have on the series. So
yeah. So I mean, we're just looking at the car here of Nikodem Wisniewski, going for a red livery today. We saw a lot of black liveries over the course of the.
Yeah, it must make it a little difficult to tell some of them apart.
Exactly. So it's promising to see that Wisniewski is at least in that sort of a red one, and Wisniewski is in the blue today. So we'll have a slightly easier job telling them apart. Absolutely.
Blue ski and red ski.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the call out for them. Much easier.
Yeah, what colour is Ballester in, I wonder? So that'll be the other one. Oh, that's Berengua, who's also been showing some good pace on the Catalunya circuit. Yeah, he's in the white and orange car. Number one actually, so I'm not sure he'll be number one by the end of the championship, but he'll number one on the car at least. Always a nice feeling.
I think he's going to need a bit of a miracle with the point standings as they are. He's a little
He's
bit
going to need
out of the
someone to
running.
get penalised and lose a load of points. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't wish that on anyone, and I doubt Cloud Sport would see fit to do that. Even
I shouldn't think so.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Well, yeah.
I guess we should talk about the Barcelona track then. It's the same one that I use in Formula One racing and several other categories. It's pretty much minimal changes since it's first introduced to Formula One in 1991. And it has, I think it's turn at the there's obviously the chicane at the end of the track, which was added in I think in 2007. And there was another change on one of the corners, which used to be a more of a constant radius corners and turned into a tight left-hander. I think it's at the end. It's turn 10, I think.
Yeah. It's right at the end of the track. That little complex of sort of very high curbs and very sort of slow corners. You see the old track still in MotoGP, although I think this year was the last year they're running it. And I think next year they're going to change to the F1 track. I think for safety reasons. We saw a nasty accident there this year. In the MotoGP, so yeah, it's the Grand Prix track though these guys are racing. We're seeing some blistering times around here in these little SEATs. 151s I think are going to be, it's going to be a decent time around here. We're seeing
that was what Ballester was setting 151.3 in qualifying. In practice, we were just saying.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like, you kind of look at that time, a 151.3, and you think we've seen some people pull out some extra pace for qualifying. Is a 50 dead possible?
Well, you never know. I think they'll be pushing for it, and of course in qualifying you can get away with pushing the limits. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the corners are that they're going to be gaining time the most from, and which ones they'll be more even on.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen in the hot lap competition to qualify for this event, just Ballester just going into full beast mode. He's had fastest first sector, fastest second sector, and I think he's just a couple of hundredths down in sector 3 on second place. So he's looking pretty unstoppable in terms of raw pace. Whether that'll convert into a qualifying lap, we'll have to wait and see. That'll be coming up shortly.
I guess we could talk a little bit about the season as a whole as well. It sounds like, from what you're saying, that Ballester's leading on merit in terms of track. He hasn't really locked into mistakes of others, apart from Cecilia being lagged out in the previous race. But
absolutely.
Yeah, do you feel that this is Ballester's to lose, or do you think the gap is so tiny that he can't approach it like that? It's got to be It's got to be sort of treat every race like it's a normal one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ballester, I think partly to do with how this championship is scored. So the point scoring isn't so sort of rapid as you go down from first to last. It's only a small difference in sort of one-off points.
Okay.
You don't see a massive point difference in the championship as a whole. So you're going to end up seeing things like, a 4-point difference between first and second. But it's not like Formula One. It's not like FIA scoring where you can make that jump very, very quickly.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure it's going. I'm getting a little bit of a voice in my ear.
The voices are coming back. So yeah, I mean, Ballester he's been dominant throughout the first and second race. I would say. I mean, we've seen a pretty decent challenge coming to him from Jesus Cecilia, from Kvitnewski, and from Wisniewski in all 3 races, but not necessarily the kind of thing that you'd need in order to really wrap up this championship in one race. Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, we heard you. Yes, we can hear you and whisper, don't worry. I think we're just seeing qualifying starting. Or is... Sorry about that, everyone. We're just having a little bit of a misunderstanding going on. I think I wasn't quite sure we were hearing a voice scenario from one of the organisers, but we're just seeing the cars coming onto the track now. Kwiatkowski in the blue car, obviously. I keep saying. We just, yeah, sorry, well, that threw me right off. So I think Kwiatkowski just about to start his lap, and I wonder if he'll be just trying to warm up the tyres, get into a good rhythm here. Always good to start your lap off right, I think, rather than just sort of coasting up to the line. You always want to get in a little bit of qualifying mode just before you start the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kwiatkowski here just sort of showing his form. I mean, you know, these SEATs are so...
Oh god. I'm not sure if people in the stream can hear that as well. Right, so Kwiatkowski, it looks like he's trying to start his lap now, while we're trying to resolve our commentary issues. And okay. I think we're hearing the same audio being played back to us. Someone saying, "Can you hear me?" And then, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. We're just going to see if we can sort out this technical difficulty.
And I think we're going to remain silent until whatever this is has sorted itself out a bit, because it's impossible to think and commentate with a lot of Spanish commentary. But I wonder if there's a Spanish commentary being done to this as well at the same time. I don't know. Oh, I think we just got the all clear now, so we can go back to talking if we really want to. As Kwiatkowski locks up a bit into the turn 10. I keep calling that turn 10, but I think it has an actual name. This is going into the final sector now. Long constant radius right-hander. Just like the camps. No, the camps is earlier on, and now we're going into the chicane here.
That's
just
right.
before the end.
Just this tight last sector. This is the one we were talking about, which is the sort of F1 only for a few years. Sector. Yeah, absolutely. It's great seeing these little SEATs bounce through the track, because they're sprung so stiff that they just hop over the curbs in an incredible way. It's really cool to see them bouncing around this track. I was talking to Rene a few weeks ago during the commentary, and it's to do with how to sort of set these cars up to make them super fast, you know. And it's all about having these are front wheel drive cars, of course, and so it's all about having a very stiff rear end and making sure the front is loose and grippy, and the car really rotates on its rear axle. So you can see that they're super stiff on the front. They just bounce over the curbs like skateboards almost. It's great to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see that. Oh, I have a little bit of server group revoking going on in our channel, but yeah, it's always great to see them jumping over the curbs. It always really shows a lot of commitment, and it's very easy, especially on the last curve there, just before the final corner, that it's very easy to, if you get too far over it, to lose control. And I suspect in the second race, when we have the reverse grid and everyone's a bit bunched up, we might see that, as we see Balesta now looking the man on dominant form, starting his lap, I think.
That's right. We can see it's the black livery after all. We've seen it all 3 races now, and that black, I think, is worth an extra 30 horsepower on top of the 330 that these guys have as is. So he has just been flying around this track, and that right there The timing sheet is saying a 150.4, so Ballester has been keeping about a second in his pocket since
That
the
is crushing
hot laps.
for the other drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, it really is. The other guys not ailing behind him too far now. We're seeing Wisniewski and Kwiatniewski on 50.5s and 50.7s respectively. So yeah, they've all been sandbagging a little bit from the hot lap
I
session.
think practice has just ended, if I'm not mistaken, and we're looking at, or is that just a red flag I'm seeing on the?
No, that's right. That's the pit lane opening for the qualifying session. So we're seeing a
Yeah,
20-minute countdown now at the top. I think when the lights go green, they're able to exit the pits. And
so they're all gathering at the end now. They're just sort of getting ready for because that's all the monkey business of practice is over, and it's now the proper stuff. Everyone wants to get. It's always a bit of a psychological advantage to get ahead of someone when you're getting out. And I think we're looking at Ballester now, who's still in the garage. He doesn't feel the need to rush out there, but the others a little bit. It's not like the track's green or anything, I guess. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, they're going to be, it's such a head game, isn't it? Qualifying, it's all about those little tiny sort of moments where you sort of, maybe I'll pop out just out of the pits, just like one car ahead of you. Maybe make you look at the back of my car over the warm-up lap. There's all sorts of little tiny things that you do during qualifying just to play with the other guys on the track, try and get not to get that optimal time down
as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're going to see this from the top three guys. I mean, they're all absolute pros here, so they're going to be, doing every trick in the book, I think. Too.
As we just start now, I think.
That's
but
right.
The thing is, mind games galore. But it's the other guy knows that it's coming, don't they? So they'll know how to deal with it.
Exactly. And here we go, Wisniewski now coming out of the pits and just starting a warm-up lap now before his first flying lap. But yeah, there you go, the orange livery of Wisniewski coming through the first sector.
I thought it was orange. You were convinced it was red. I think it's
orange. I've changed my mind now. Yeah, the changing. He's changed his livery. I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you can do that after having started it. Yeah. But we'll recognise him as the orange guy.
Yeah, that's it.
From now on, number 4 as well as his number. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and. Yeah, I mean, he's just coming around. This is the first sort of really slow corner of the track. This left-hand hairpin now coming down the hill into the sort of second sector of the lap. This is a tricky corner here. Downhill braking into this apex, then coming back up the hill. You have to it's about carrying your speed, just keeping that momentum as you come up the hill. Because 330 horsepower, it's decent for a little hatchback like this, but you're still going to have that struggle when you come up a hill.
Oh yeah, that's Campsa, which is I believe. Oh no, not Campsa. It's turn 7, isn't it? Which is the one you were talking about. And yeah, that's quite annoying. Like you say, because it's down here and you have to sort of nick the curb on the inside. Often, if you get a bad run out of turn 5 and 6 before then, turn 7 can sort of open up and become an overtaking opportunity during the race. But during qualifying, it's more just about nailing the apex. Then it's very easy if you miss the braking point to not get the turn in right.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And it's a tricky rumble strip on the outside of that corner as well into the braking. So yeah, it's a tough corner. I mean, here we are. We're going to see Wisniewski now starting his first flying lap. So he's going to be using all of the power that he can.
Watching the splits here is going to be very important.
Absolutely. And as he comes down through to the first corner here, it's quite a flowing first section of the lap. Very, very fast corners, 1 and 2, slightly slower than 3, which is this very famous, very long right-hander. You're just waiting to put the power down.
Yeah, you can feel the traction going as it goes right to the outside here. This is a really committed lap so far. Let's see what the first split is. In Sector 1, I think, is that 32 seconds? 32.75?
That's a 32.75, yeah, so that's a fine first sector. I mean, we're seeing in the hot laps people putting down 32.8s and high 32.7s, so I think he'll be happy with that just to get himself started off, to get a foot in the door on this qualifying session.
Yeah, Kwiatniewski in the other car, he's just set a 32.8 as well, so he's a 10th down on Wisniewski. We're seeing... I don't think there are any other times faster. There's Borges is also set at 32.8. So yeah, we'll see how it develops on the lap so far.
Absolutely. I mean, Borges is one of these guys who've seen him in previous races. He's maybe not a qualifying hot shot, but he'll definitely throw the moves on in the race. He's one of these guys you always see moving forward, a real racer. So it's going to be great to see what he can pull out later on in this race weekend.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing Wisniewski mounting the curbs at turn 11, I think that was. And now in the final corner, final two corners rather, getting on the curve once more. And yeah, 113.8. So we'll see what time this is as he goes towards the line. 150.8. So yeah, really solid lap time there. That probably won't be quite good enough for Poles, who's jumped to Ballester, who it looks like is on a slightly slower lap actually. Yeah, slightly
Absolutely. I mean, Wisniewski will be happy with that, though. I mean, we're at the start of the qualifying session here. You want to get a lap time in that you can build from, that you can improve from. I mean, you wouldn't expect to go out on your first run and set something that's, within just a few tenths of your fastest time. And he's done that. So, I mean, good on him. It's a fantastic lap in that sense, that he's able now to go on out there, the pressure's off, and just improve on that lap time.
Yeah, let's see. So Ballester is slotted into second, I think, on the timing screens with a 51.39. So not the best lap from him, but he'll be looking. That's a good base to improve on for the rest of the session. Maybe he can get back into the groove and challenge Wisniewski.
Absolutely, and you have to bear in mind, we're seeing these guys qualify here for two races essentially. So I mean, they have the first race where the grid order is normal, so it's going to be sort of from the fastest guy to the slowest guy on the pack. But for the second race, which has exactly the same points associated with it, you see them flip the top 10, so invert the grid order of the top 10 guys. And so in a way, qualifying fifth is what you really want. Everyone's aiming. I don't think anyone's aiming for fifth, but at least then you start on the same position for both races.
Yeah, and that could be very crucial in the title deciding final race, because the guy who starts on fifth probably, chances are, might not be one of the title contenders, so that'll be some cars to get through if they want to get the big points for the win.
Absolutely. And you see people like Borges, actually running third place right now with a 51.4. So in no way a shabby qualifying performance. But you see,
he was 7 tenths down on that lap as we jumped to Oliver Holdener, who was about 6 seconds faster than his previous lap. I don't think he set the best. He didn't really set much of a banker lap there. He's just coming around the final corner now. Let's see. I think this is going to be a 52. I think. Is he 50? Yeah, 53.8. I think it says there. Sorry, a little bit. Yeah, 53.8 from Oliver. Yeah.
And that's going to put him on a sixth position. I think a 51 is coming up on the timing screen here, but yeah, 0.8. And so that's a decent performance there from Holdener to get up to sixth position. Yeah.
It's not fifth though, so you won't get the reverse pole.
Exactly.
Yeah, so is anyone out there going particularly quickly? We can see they go purple when they go fastest on the timing screen, so it looks like, I'm not sure if it's live time, but Barunga seems to have the fastest time in the first sector, which is 32.7. Wisniewski has the fastest in the second, which is 41.1. And in Sector 3, the fastest is Ballester, championship leader, on 36.9.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's one of those laps where I'm sure he'll know exactly where he can improve. I mean, he's seeing himself losing 0.4 of a second in the first sector to pole position, so it must have been a significant accident there for Ballester in that first lap. So it's going to be locking up a brake, missing an apex in a big way.
Could be traffic, of course. Everyone's out there right now trying to set the lap. So
absolutely. I mean,
finding a space is difficult.
It's a big track, this Catalunya one, but when you're stuck behind somebody, especially in qualifying, it's not the easiest to overtake on, and not without losing a lot of time.
Yeah, not a lot of time left in the session now. Nearly half of it elapsed with 12 minutes left to go. We're watching Broosmeyer on the screen right now, 3 tenths up on his best time of 1:53. So that could see him at least get a little bit higher up the leaderboard, but not sure he'll be challenging the front rows. He's in 9th at the moment as he goes around the last 2 corners. Gets over the curve, of course. He's going in the pits, so clearly not.
Bails
didn't
on
think
it.
the improvement was worth continuing on that one. Interesting though, when someone's on a better lap, they decide to to bail out? Is it because maybe they've got a setup change they need to do? So, or is they just not confident they want to do the lap again and get the most out of it? It could be a number of things. Oh, someone flying in the background, rolling over actually. Yeah, so really using all of the road and a little bit more, and he's stuck over the barriers, I think. I'm not sure who that was, but I hope we might get a little replay of that as we're watching Borges, who was just in front of that, lucky not to get taken out, and he's in 4th place at the moment.
That's right.
Yeah, he's about to start. He's just starting the lap, so we'll see how that develops.
And we're seeing these guys coming around, I mean, bailing on these laps. We're seeing them, I think, do that because they have, part of the Cloud Sport rules for this series is that you run an out lap, you run your fast lap, and at the end of your fast lap, you can't just press exit and go back to the pit lane. You have to run an in lap as well. And so if you're fueling your car for a 3-lap stint like that, sure, you've got enough fuel to get round the track and complete another flying lap, but you don't have enough fuel to get back to the pits after that. So you're going to end up getting your lap disqualified if you can't get back to the pits at the end of it. So I think that's where we see some people pulling off into the pits on laps that maybe would have been an improvement.
Yeah, on the other hand, we saw the guy in the background flipping over. I wasn't sure who that was in the white car, but we might, we didn't get a replay, so I presume we'll leave it. I guess he's saved from embarrassment of being named and shamed. If they did, that was a pretty spectacular moment. So, Wisniewski is on pole at the moment with Kwiatkowski just behind him, I think by 3 tenths. Miguel Balester is 2 tenths behind championship leader. Remember, he's in 3rd at the moment. Borges is in 4th, and Brzezinski is in 5th.
That's right, we're seeing Borges here on a personal best lap. He's putting it together, so he's just got to come through this last sector.
A lot of tyre smoke there.
Yeah, really pushing that car. It's a front wheel drive, so you're putting the power down out of the corner and those just lighting the tyres up a little bit as it bounces over the curbs. So he's just going to push down the home straight here and get what he can out of this lap time, and that's going to put him up into second place.
That's the cat among the pigeons, isn't it?
Fantastic, a 51.1 at that time. And that's a crackingly fast time from Borges.
Yeah, he's only just managed to get in front of Kwiatkowski though, I think. And setting the fastest first sector in the process, 32.693.
Absolutely. And we're seeing a hot lap time from Borges of 51.7. So he's found 6 tenths somewhere. He had it in his pocket and he's just taken it out and gone, how'd you like that, to everybody else? Not very much is what Balester and Kwiatkowski is thinking.
I think maybe Balester is probably thinking a little bit along. I don't need to quite be on pole here, but it'd be really nice if I was. Whereas Kwiatkowski, Wisniewski are thinking, right, if I don't get on pole, then it's over. So Wisniewski is, like we said, he's set a very good time early on in the session, but Kwiatkowski might try something a bit desperate to try and close that nearly 3 tenths gap to pole.
Absolutely.
He does not want that car in between him and Wisniewski. He doesn't.
And I mean, he's a great racer, Borges, so he's not going to give up that place easily. It's not going to come easy to anybody behind him getting past if he can get through the first corner well, which is, always the big question in racing. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic feeling for Wisniewski, isn't it, to have that just go out and just plant that lap time down. Everyone else is going to be just playing catch up now, I think.
Quite. So what's going on track with 8 minutes left to go then? Watching Barunga on the time screen, who's slightly behind as we switch to Kwiatkowski. The guy I know you're talking about who really needs to make up ground as we see Balester. I think that's Balester immediately behind him on the circuit, so Balester might be thinking either of overtaking him or backing off. But because Kwiatkowski is on a very slow lap right now, so I presume that's either an out lap or he's just pacing himself ahead of a hot lap.
That's right. I mean, it's sometimes nice to have a fast driver just ahead of you while you do your fast lap. I mean, I think this gap is a little bit small for me, but it can be a good thing. You can really sort of gauge your pace as you go through the lap. You can work out, hold on, I just got a whole lot of time there, or you can also say, actually, I didn't do that corner quite as well as I hoped I would have. And so it can be a nice reference point to have a guy ahead of you. I'm not convinced that, 5 car lengths or whatever Balester has there, I think might be a little bit...
Interestingly, don't want to interrupt too bit, but Oliver Holdner has actually jumped up into 4th place here, ahead of Miguel Balester. So that's again Miguel Balester. I'm not sure that's an ideal position for him. Hopefully he can in his case, he'll want to try and get back into the high 50-second bracket that he was in during practice. That's what he really needs right now. He doesn't want these cars to sort of sneak in front of him, especially if he ends up in 6th. That could be really bad for him and hand advantage to Wisniewski.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be the pressure getting to him. Balester here, this is the first time I think we've seen him qualify and not be on pole position. The session isn't over yet, of course, but yeah, I mean, this isn't the dominance that we're used to seeing from Miguel Balester.
Yeah, we're watching Kwiatkowski now. He's 0.07 faster than his time at the moment. I'm not sure that alone is going to be enough to jump Heo Borges in 2nd, but he's really pushing right now to try and improve his position. Let's see what his 2nd split time is. 1 minute 13.7. Oh, it's faster. He's 2 tenths up now, so that might make a bit of a difference here. Might put him just behind Wisniewski unless he pulls something really special out here in the final sector.
I mean, just as Kwiatkowski is putting this lap together, Wisniewski has gone over the line with a 150.5. Just saying.
Oh, that's the ultimate, very demoralising.
Exactly. You like those goalposts? Well, I'm just going to move them a little bit further away.
Yeah, Kwiatkowski clouting the curbs almost in desperation here as he's crossing the line now, I think. About to set his time, 1 minute 50.83. So that's up to 2nd, so he's at least past Borges. Whoa! Balester mounting both curbs there on the chicane.
Absolutely rough stuff from Balester, but yeah, fantastic play there from Wisniewski and Kwiatkowski. I mean, that would have put Kwiatkowski on pole had it not been for the fact that halfway through his lap.
Up to 2nd now, 50.7.
Oh, an outstanding lap.
Behind Wisniewski, yeah, so really seeing drivers pulling out their best here as we switch back to Borges, see how he responds with 5 minutes left to go in the session. And he's just about to start a lap, I think. And now we're watching Oliver Holdner in the middle of is he in the middle? No, he looks like he's very early on in the lap and he must have backed off.
Yeah, Holdner there in 5th position. I mean, he's been an outstanding racer throughout this competition. It's been difficult to see that he's never quite managed to get past the front of the 2nd pack, rather than really sort of attacking for the win of the race, or maybe taking 2nd or 3rd. But he's been one of these guys who's shown incredible promise throughout the season, so it'd be great to see what he can pull out later on this afternoon. A really top driver.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that little flurry of activity there, let's just remind ourselves of the order with the dying minutes of the session left to go. With Wisniewski on pole, with Balester in 2nd, Kwiatkowski in 3rd, Jared Borges in 4th, and Oliver Holdner in 5th. With Brzezinski just behind in 6th.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see whether, with a bit of pressure to give him that stimulus, Miguel Balester can pull that time out. That said, this whole race weekend, we haven't seen anything faster than a 1 minute 50.5, which is Nikodem Wisniewski's time at the moment. So I'd be impressed if anyone can beat that.
Okay. Just a factor to consider that someone has suggested to me is that tyre wear is quite hard on Catalunya, because especially turn 3, as you notice, a very long right-hander takes a lot of life out of the tyres. So how many? I wonder if any of the drivers here might be trying to save tyres for the race, if that's a factor, or we might see it play into play during the race, especially during the early laps. But yeah, you do notice them pushing a lot more in qualifying, so I'm not certain that's going to be a factor here.
Absolutely. I mean, well, far more than we watched the Formula E Road to Vegas race by Cloud Sport last weekend, and their tyre wear was hardly a problem at all. Only at the very end of these quite long stints, we're starting to see these cars suffer from it. With these SEATs, though, you have to preserve your tyres. I mean, the races are short. 14 laps around Catalunya is all these guys are going to be doing per race. But at the same time, if you get caught up in a proper battle at the start of your race, if you end up driving aggressively and taking the life out of your tyres, you're going to suffer for that come the end of the race and see yourself losing time in those last few laps.
Now, do I see Wisniewski? I thought I just looked. He's done 10 laps so far, and I thought I just saw that he was lying in the pit lane. So I wonder if he thinks that 150.556 is a good enough time for pole position. But I wouldn't be risking it if I was him. I'd get back out there right now. There's just about enough time to get another lap.
Absolutely no, but he's got his mind game on, hasn't he? Come at me, bro.
I'm just gonna sit back here, drink some juice or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right, and I'll
exactly.
find my race strategy now. So it's going to be in pole no matter what.
Yeah.
No way you can Ballesta beat me, yeah, so. But this is exactly, Wisniewski's done a great job in this qualifying session so far and really brought the fight to Ballesta, exactly what he needs to keep his championship hopes alive. As we see Ballesta now on track, he's behind someone, so I think he might be either backing off and getting ready for his next lap, which may be his last one with only a minute left in the session.
Absolutely, one more bite of the apple for Ballesta. He's just going to come through the last sector here.
Well, I hope it's not a tainted apple.
No, exactly. He's not going to get the worm.
Garden of Eden here.
And yeah, he's going to be just getting his tyres, his brakes up to temperature before this lap starts to give himself the very best opportunity he can. And yeah, you can see him now backing off a little.
Cruel now. Yeah, visualizing the lap ahead, because he knows that it's so important here to get it right. To nail every apex. You see Kwiatkowski setting out for another lap, so he's going in, but Wisniewski I think is he's either in the middle of a lap right now or he's in the pits. Oh, look at that! A bit of rear end letting go there as he braked very late into the first corner. I hope that's not compromised Kwiatkowski's versus that. We'll see what the first split is.
Absolutely a full drift there through the first corner. So yeah, maybe not the fastest way around, but he's certainly got style. So I mean, there might be points for that.
Well, not real points, but certainly points from us in the corners. Again, he's really putting on the line, but he's a 10th down. So the driving style he has might not be the fastest here. As you see Ballesta, let's see what his split is. Yeah, he's 2/10 up Ballesta, so this could be a pole shot. I think he needs a little bit more time, but that's definitely right up with Wisniewski's time at the moment so far on this lap. As you see Kwiatkowski again drifting, really trying to hang it all on the line here.
And Wisniewski has started a lap somewhere in the background there, and him and Ballesta are within 1/100th of a second of each other, both up on their previous times. So both guys reacting to the pressure with really outstanding first sectors.
Kwiatkowski a 10th down, so he's reduced the deficit, but the split is still not in his favour. Let's see what Ballesta is doing. I have a feeling this could be a pole lap we're watching right now. Yes, he's 3/10 up now in the second split, so he just needs to hold it together here and keep that pace going as you switch back to Kwiatkowski, ending his lap. But I don't think it's going to be enough for him.
Bumping over those curves, trying to straight line that corner as much as he can. There we go.
I see someone else going into the pit lane there, but Kwiatkowski crosses the line now, and unless he's done something amazing here, no, he's still in third place, but 2.75 behind. So I think, did he improve a bit, or was that no improvement?
There wasn't an improvement on the grid for Kwiatkowski here, but Ballesta has turned back time. He's gone so fast, and there he is.
That pole position, there we go, 150.406. Wow, what a lap, and right at the diff too, just what he needed.
But Nikodem Wisniewski still on a lap behind, and he's going to be putting that in for a 150.5, so 1/10 in the end. He managed to do two 150.5s, but couldn't.
Oh, that'd be so frustrating for Wisniewski. Why did he spend so long in the pits? I'm sure it probably wasn't quite so long. I probably just caught him just as he was coming out of the pits and thought he was still in it, more likely. But yeah, so the grid at the moment, I think everyone has set laps now. Is Yao Borges on a lap?
I can't see sectors coming up, so I think everyone's either in the pits or is just finishing off their in laps.
Okay.
So provisionally, we can say that Miguel Ballesta has taken pole position with an outstanding last-minute performance. Nikodem Wisniewski second place, Kwiatkowski in third, Borges in fourth. We've got Oliver Holdener fifth position, Jose Berenga in sixth. That's Brzezinski in seventh place, followed by Choponera, Ibanez, then Miguel, rounding out the top 10. Yep. 11th, we've got Bernd Brosmeyer. 12th, Angel Sancho. 13th is Jimenez. 14th, Unzo. Navarro in 15th, and rounding out the field in 16th place is Puello.
Right, so what a grid we've got ahead of the first of our two final races here at Catalunya. and Miguel Ballesta, as we suspected going in, but didn't quite pull it together until the end of that session, and has only done so by a tenth. But yeah, Miguel Ballesta doesn't look like he's going to have it all his own way in this first race, although starting on pole always gives you that advantage. So it could just be, if he makes a good start, maybe he can manage the field and keep Wisniewski behind him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's actually a tricky pole position on this track. You're going to start on the left-hand side, so it's on the racing line. But at the same time, the guy on the right of you, second place, he's going to be on the inside for the first corner. Though, unless you get an outstanding start or second place bogs down, you're going to end up almost definitely being threatened into turn one in one way or another. So not an easy getaway for these guys.
Well, it's never usually an easy getaway, whatever track you're on. But you're right. Definitely there's a sort of dirty side of the grid, and sort of if you're on the inside at turn one, that's ideal for making a move, because it's very difficult to make a move around the outside. Of course, you can easily get squeezed out, as we've seen happen many times in the past.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the race I believe is coming up pretty shortly. About 10 minutes at most.
That's right. These guys we're going to have a little warm-up practice for these guys. They're going to run around the track for a little while. I think the race marshals are then going to look over all the laps while that happens, and just make sure that everything's spick and span. There are a couple of places
don't want
on this
any
track.
track extending or corner cutting.
Exactly.
Or in one case of whoever it was, flying off and trying to skip the corner entirely.
He just found a booster pad. Yeah, he was looking to he just blast his way over the last sector.
It's like more like he was playing Trackmania for a second. Rather than Thankful too.
Yeah, Mario Kart. Yeah, exactly. I mean, so they're just check this through. It's a track, especially in that last sector where there's those little chicanes. There are places where you can get four wheels off the track limits. So it's going to make sure that it's all good.
Yeah. Thinking about title deciders, I remember real life title decider. I remember watching a real life title decider at Catalunya, which was the Formula Renault 3.5 between Robin Freins, who's a Formula E driver at the moment for Andretti Autosport, and the late Jules Bianchi, who was driving for, I believe, French team Tech 1 at the time, and Robin Freins was a rookie for a different team. I remember that was a very exciting finale to that year's championship at Barcelona. I remember, I think it was, I'm not sure which corner, I think it may have been going to turn 3, that there was a collision between Robin Freins was leading the championship, obviously, and he had a collision with Jules Bianchi, which decided the title in his favour. But so I hope we don't see that happen between Ballesta, Wisniewski, and Kvitniewski today, because that could be disastrous. So keeping out of trouble. I mean, there is a bit more leeway than in the single seaters for rubbing against each other. You know, rubbing is racing and sort of touring. That's the touring car way, really. But more than likely, you want to avoid contact as much as possible. Easy to get spun out, or we've seen multiple incidents, I think, in Austria as well. So
absolutely. I mean, we do see bumping from time to time in this one, but as you say, you have to be gentle. It's about disturbing the guy in front of you's rhythm rather than really breaking his car or your own car.
No, more breaking their concentration than their car.
Exactly. Knock the rear wing off their concentration. Yeah.
I'm sorry, did that break your rear wing concentration? Okay. Yeah, so we're just waiting for the warm up to start, and I guess it's just a little intermediary session, so we might not see everyone going out, but we'll probably see especially the front runners just going in, because it's getting back into the rhythm, you know, making sure that you're ready for that start. Do you think it's worth any of them practicing starts on like the exit the pit lane, or do you think they've practiced it so many times beforehand anyway that they'll just be prepared for the race automatically?
I mean, you do always see them practicing a start here or there. I mean, I think we saw at one point someone stopping in the middle of the road, I think back in the previous round, in order to practice a start, and meeting a very rapidly approaching car from behind. So, I mean, you do see them start practicing starts. I think it's important to do. Qualifying is one mindset. It's this kind of do or die, absolutely hook the perfect lap together or throw it into the gravel kind of mindset. And you have to get back into that kind of, I think that's what these guys are going to be focusing on, getting back onto that kind of bring it home mentality, where they can hook in lap after lap at a decent, maybe 1-2 tenths above their qualifying pace, and then bring the race home in the fastest possible time. So it's a different style of driving. It's a different way of thinking, racing compared to qualifying. And so it's nice to have these warm-up sessions just before the race.
Yeah. Anyway, I was wondering about your championship predictions as we see the warm-up session start now, and is that Kwiatkowski? Yeah, Kwiatkowski just setting off. See, I got it right just before the name came up, so the colour code is working. And yeah, I was just wondering, speaking of Kwiatkowski, who do you think of the three contenders is going to walk away with the title here? Personally, it looks like Ballester has it all under control, but we never know. It could fall apart at the start if he gets a bit flustered or isn't careful, but obviously we don't want to put the curse on him, so we won't think about that.
I mean, it's tempting to bet against Ballester just to spice things up a little bit, but we've seen some performances from him, I mean, not least qualifying just now, which are just champion performances, I mean, just throwing the car out there last minute in qualifying when the pressure is incredibly high and just banging in a lap time that's like faster than anything we've seen around this track with this car. An amazing performance. Last time out in Austria, we saw him a little bit down, a little bit battered around in the first lap of the second race. And then he just comes storming back, absolutely flying through the field. I don't think he won the race, but he brought home plenty of points for himself at the end of that race. And so, I think it's something about being English, and maybe you can attest to this, Ed. But you kind of always want to support the underdog, exactly. But I'm not sure that in this case I can. I think Ballester is he's just too cool to watch. His car, it just looks fantastic racing, and so you have to support.
But at least Wisniewski put up a bit of a fight there and put Ballester under pressure, and I think if he can at least put Ballester under pressure, then he might stand half a chance of maybe scoring a few more points in the first race, because this first race could prove decisive, especially if they end up being stuck behind each other in the second race.
Absolutely. I mean, Wisniewski and Kwiatkowski, they're both fantastic drivers, and if there's a half a sniff of a way of overtaking Ballester, you can be assured that the nose of their SEAT Leon will be in that gap. It'll be right there. And that said, can they do it? Yeah, I mean, maybe they can. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But my money's on Ballester.
I think you started pretty much every other sentence by saying either absolutely or it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, right.
At least you're consistent.
That's my key, consistency.
Yeah, as we're watching them all doing the practice now, we're watching Juan Ibanez down in ninth place in the red car. Is this? I thought Miguel was saying Miguel doing a practice start on the start finish, but yeah. That's ninth in the warm-up, by the way, not on the grid. So,
yeah, exactly. So that little number next to the cars here.
Not sure if it's worth keeping track of the times in the warm-up, other than as sort of it's going to be purely academic. But yeah, rebuild help this. I think over the half an hour, it's going to build some excitement here. Although I'm not sure we need quite half an hour. I think 10-minute warm-up session would have been more appropriate. But maybe they asked for a half an hour one. So
no, I wouldn't expect to see this session run to its completion. I'd say this is going to last 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah. So these guys will be.
It's also good to make sure that drivers have all got their setups still working, no last-minute problems like the wheel disconnecting or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have seen a few times people, silly mistakes like having the wrong fuel setup or having the wrong settings on their car for the race. And so it's a nice way to sort of have a chance to double, triple check that, I've got enough fuel for 12 laps. I've got the right aero settings to be able to run consistently around this track. You can sort of have your little tick list next to your steering wheel and say, right, I'm definitely ready for this race. And then forget your passport.
Oh yeah. Well, good thing you don't really need your passport. That's more for if you win. That's more for Ballester to find out where his passport is, in case he wins a championship and has to go get it. As we see a bit of overtaking action going here between Ibanez, who's the fastest time in the warm-up session so far, more purely being one of the first guys to cross the line, I think, and he's just gotten by the blue car, which is Kwiatkowski, I think. So yeah, maybe trying to just psych Kwiatkowski out a little bit and sort of say, you know, you were competing for the title, but I'm trying to show off something here a bit too, as we see Kwiatkowski looked like he was going to dive down the inside there, the left-hander, and turn 5. And I think he may try again into the turn 7 here. But, no, not quite alongside. Oh, as they both drift majorly into turn 7.
Fantastic stuff. It's surprising to see them doing this kind of thing in the free practice session, just because everyone has their own little tricks, you know, and you want to be able to surprise somebody in the race. So you don't want to throw away all of your secrets on a at the start of before the race has even started.
Yeah, maybe Ibanez is just being a bit playful here, is what I'm thinking. And, just trying to keep the mood fairly light, especially as Kwiatkowski starts 3rd. He's the last of the title contenders, you know, on the grid. So maybe he's enjoying this. Maybe he doesn't really need this as he dives inside at the chicane. Maybe Ibanez is a little. I don't think he's helping him at all, because that looks like a proper battle that's going on right now. At least it gives us something to talk about, eh?
Absolutely. No, it's great to see.
It looks like backing out now. They're both backing out to make the practice starts, I think.
There we go, yeah.
And someone else make a practice start in the yellow car, number 9.
Absolutely. Even as looking punchy in the practice session, it's going to be fantastic to see him pulling those moves out in the race. He's
Yeah. Who knows? How far down the grid is Ibanez?
You know, I can't remember. I can't remember the grid order.
Yeah, he's definitely down. Yeah, I remember the top 3, but top 5 roughly as well. But with Holden, I think, in 4th and Borges in 5th, or it might be the other way around. They're definitely, one of them's 4th and one of them's 5th, and beyond that, I can't remember the order. So Ibanez is probably lower half of the top 10 if I was to give a guess. But my memory is terrible, so I'm sure someone in the, if anyone's watching right now, they'll correct me instantly. Yeah, anyway, so 7 minutes so far, the warm-up done. So you'd think once we get down to 20 minutes left of the session, they'll say, right, okay, we're ready to race.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, hopefully, yeah. But
I expect the race to be starting quite soon. Just following Holden here as he comes through the second sector of the lap. This is one of the slower corners there. It's a very long left-hander hairpin. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the sort of potential overtaking points, I think, in this track. I think you're right to say this little complex in the second sector coming towards the third, not an easy place to overtake, because there's only really one line. You have to carry your speed up the hill afterwards, so you're going to lose a lot of time trying to overtake there. So I think it's going to be a place we'll see them coming single file through. A lot of the overtaking is going to happen in that last sector where we saw those two guys
turn
battling.
10, which is a tight. Yeah, turn 10, which is we saw Miguel Balesta, man of the hour, going through there. He's that's the tight left-hander at the end of a long straight, and sort of also turn 9, which is quite a fast right-hander. It's quite easy to get it wrong. I think the end of the straight at turn 1 is another good overtaking opportunity. Turn 4, which I believe is either Campsa or Repsol. That's a good overtaking spot as well if someone gets the long right-hander or the first couple of corners wrong. And sometimes Repsol can sort of, turn 4 can lead into turn 5 as an overtaking opportunity.
That's right.
Because again, 5, if you can get down the inside, then you can maybe do a bit of a dive bomb. And I wonder if anyone, particularly of our title contenders, is going to get desperate at any point during the race. Another question I just had very quickly is, do you think with tyre wear being a bit more of a factor, we've seen a lot of people drifting. That's not going to be good for the tyre wear. I just wonder if when I'm pretty sure pit stops are sort of discouraged because the races are so short. It's only 14 laps, but I do think we're going to see maybe some of the not so strong runners near the back of the pack in sort of 16th, 15th place or so. Do you think they're going to end up pitting maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think
change tyres and maybe set fastest lap or something.
These guys, yeah, right, yeah. I suspect these guys will run it out of fuel before they pit it. To be fair, I think. You know, they're on an aggressive fuel strategy. Some of them, we've seen people run out of fuel before in this competition, and it's always a great shame to see, because you have these races aren't that lengthy, but there's a lot of real close racing in them, and so you do kind of get to a point where you're like, I want this guy to do well. I want him to finish. It's good that he's fought up from 10th to 7th or whatever, and then at the end it's like to see him run out of fuel it's always a bit of a shame if that does happen. We're seeing the practice session coming to an end.
Yeah, so now we're getting ready for the start of the race. We'll have a warm-up lap, and then they'll all line up, and we'll have the 5 lights coming on, and then they'll go out, and the race will begin. which is the usual sequence. Anyone who follows racing will know that.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
who was? I think Wisniewski actually set the fastest time in the warm up right at the end there, just before it ended. Not that everyone was pushing, of course, as we see cars
Yeah.
starting to materialize on the grid as they're pushed out from the garages and now dematerializing. As we see 14 laps here at the top. Another thing to keep an eye on is if there's an incident, you might see the stewards calling the yellow flags in either of the three sectors. Be quite important. And yeah, definitely with overtaking relatively difficult on this track as we see all the cars now pulling away for it. I think that's the warm-up lap we're seeing.
That'll be the warm-up lap. Yep.
Yeah. So so with overtaking being so difficult, we will see some overtaking, I guarantee it. But especially in the second reverse grid race where differing ability drivers in the top 5 mixed around. But what you're more likely to see in maybe, especially further down the order, a couple of accidents. So look out for that. And but yeah, as they're warming up the brakes, warming up the tires, and yeah, we can see the crowd's more populated. We saw no one in the crowds for qualifying, which was quite surprising. It might be a graphical thing, but
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, this Catalonia crowd really coming out now to see the start of the
they're
race.
all Spanish, of course. Most of these guys are from mainland Spain, so.
Exactly. So we've got a home race here to finish off the championship.
And,
We'll see
and how sweet would it be for Miguel Ballester to win on a home track that I no doubt he's probably been watching races on since he was a lot younger, and probably loves this place. I think.
Absolutely, it's a cracking track. It's a real cool place. Yeah, to see, and it's got this cool layout where if you see it from the air, it looks like a bull's horns. So you can see this kind of
I never realised
the
that.
track layout is like
a lot
a
of
Spanish
tracks that
bull.
have that sort of thing. That sort of where you look at them above and they have some kind of thing like Spa looks like a ray gun from the ray gun. There's Shanghai in China, which is the F1 that looks apparently from above like the Chinese symbol for good luck or something. And it's
Okay.
that's designed in that way. Oh no, it's I think it's not good luck because I think red is good luck in Chinese. It's I think it's designed to look like the Chinese symbol for Shang.
Okay.
So that sort of makes a bit more sense than what I just said. But anyway, that's completely irrelevant to this race as we see Ballester getting ready to be the first man to line up, and I have to wait a long time for what feels like a long time for the guys behind all to slot into their places.
Absolutely.
Remember, Wisniewski behind him and Kwiatkowski in the blue car on the start of the second row. So now we wait for those lights to go out, and everyone really. This is the key part, isn't it? So of the race. So if you get a good start here, you can build your momentum into the race. If you get a bad start, you'll be on the back foot, and there's a lot of work to do.
Long wait for those lights.
Yeah. So when is the first one going to come on? There's a bit of moving from the 4th place man there. Oh, yeah. First light, second light. Oh, the lights all come on now all at once. And off they go. Miguel Ballester actually does it look like he's got a good start? Oh, he's got a bit of a slow start there. Sorry, our picture is a bit lagging there. Kind of like Ballester's start as he's lost the lead to Wisniewski, which is brilliant news of Wisniewski and Kwiatkowski coming from the inside as well. So this is not the start that Miguel Ballester wanted at all. And this is compromising him. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. Not quite sure exactly what's going on there. As we saw that they're side by side, Kwiatkowski and Wisniewski. Oh, I really hope this doesn't end in a collision. But Ballester is actually down the inside of Kwiatkowski. And, no, Wisniewski. Oh, no, all three of them make contact once again. And so it's real bumper cars out there right now. But Kwiatkowski has managed to get past into the lead now, as Wisniewski is being challenged by Ballester. Ballester ran the outside into turn 5. Can he pull this move off? Oh, it looks very close. It looks like Wisniewski's trying to run him out wide, but doesn't quite work out. And they're still side by side going into turn 7. Oh, they've hit each other then. But they've both gotten away with it. There was a bit of a tag on the rear there, and that's really hurt Wisniewski. It's under attack from Borges just behind. He's able to hold off Borges into turn 9. Wow, what a start, Ali.
Yeah, cracking stuff. It's amazing to see Ballester there getting punchy through that first sector. He had a awful start, just bogged down from the very get-go. And yeah, we saw Kwiatkowski and Wisniewski coming up at him on the first corner. So it's amazing to see him just all shoulders out, pushing to get back to the position where he started from.
And Balester is right behind Kwiatkowski now again. So this is qualifying all over again, where he's got to make up that ground. Although Wisniewski, you can see the wing mirror of Kwiatkowski. These two title rivals behind, both right up each other's necks, and they can't afford to let Kwiatkowski get away here. What's the gap as they cross the line for the first time? I can't quite see it here, what the gap between them all. Oh yeah, it's a 1.1 seconds is the lead that Kwiatkowski has over his title rival.
We see Wisniewski here having a look into turn 1. Balester driving that defensive line, just closing him off. Don't even think about it, Nicodem, he's saying. And now he's just going to try and get his rhythm back, close that lap into Kwiatkowski up ahead. I mean, he's going to have the magnets on right now. He's going to switch them on and just going to suck himself up to that first position car, because he can't afford for Kwiatkowski in the lead to get into his rhythm. We're seeing Berenguer here in a mighty battle. Is this for 4th place with
he's
yeah,
in
with
5th,
Borges just ahead.
Borges ahead of him.
Absolutely, and the two of them just pushing their way around this track. It's amazing to see these little SEATs, you know, the front wheel drive. Obviously the steering is on the front wheel as well, so all the action happens on the front. As long as you've got that going smoothly, it's fine. The rear, forget about it. Just let it hang out and flap about behind. It's great to see him drifting around this track.
It's good from the front wheel drive as well, because when we saw Balester and Wisniewski hitting each other, I think Balester, if he wasn't for front wheel traction, he might have got spun out there by Wisniewski, and that would have been a very bad start to a championship decider. But I'm sure Balester's quite thankful to have gotten away with that contact and has closed the gap slightly. He's about, I would say, half a second. It looks like he's about half a second behind Kwiatkowski now, and this could be a really tense battle for the rest of the race.
They were seeing. It's amazing to see. I think it's just in the braking. It's just the sort of optical effect of the car in front braking slightly earlier, but it looks like Balester's just closing that gap almost visibly, corner after corner. Kwiatkowski, though, you know, an absolute quality driver, and he'll be hammering in those lap times. That said, that's a 150.6 that Balester's just put in. That would have put him on 2nd position on the grid, I think, if it after him.
Yeah, fastest first two sector times for Balester, but it's Wisniewski in 3rd who has set the fastest final sector just now. And he's got the gap down to half a second, about 0.6 seconds now. And let's go through the order. So Kwiatkowski leads from Balester, Wisniewski's in 3rd, Borges is in 4th, with Berenguer behind in 5th, Brzezinski is 6th, Oliver Holdner is in 7th, Mikel Choperino is in 8th, Miguel Miguel is 9th, and Diego Jimenez rounds out the top 10.
Absolutely, we're on board with Balester here, right on the back of Borges, and this is almost an overtaking possibility.
Oh, there was contact there. That was very tight. As we go back to the battle of the lead, all 3 of them right close together, although it definitely looks like Balester is much closer to Kwiatkowski this time round as they go into turn 7 and going into the long turn 9 approaching. Can he get a good run here, and can he maybe think about going into the inside at turn 10? Depends. Let's see.
He's just going to be focusing on the back of Kwiatkowski's car and thinking, slide, go on, just slide a little bit. Give me that run, you know, all of his telekinetic powers just planted on the rear end of that
control
car.
Power. Isn't Flash Gordon, he's not like Emperor Ming controlling his mind.
I wouldn't bet on it, man. Miguel Balester, he could be telekinetic, he's so fast.
Oh, wow. Anyway, they get really close into the chicane here, so can Balester get a good run onto the straight? And the thing is, the more he gets held up by Kwiatkowski, because he's definitely going slightly much faster than Kwiatkowski at the moment, the more that happens, the more Wisniewski can close in behind them. But that depends on him being able to keep up with Kwiatkowski's times as well.
And we're seeing Wisniewski just hanging back a little bit here from the leading battle. So he's just going to be this, you know, he's waiting for the two of them maybe to clash a little bit.
Oh, is this Brzezinski side by side with somebody?
Absolutely, Berenguer just behind, making that move. They look like teammates, but they're not acting like it. The two of them just knocking around through that first sector. It's with these cars, I mean, they're so loose on the rear, you need the rear to rotate into the corner, so it's fine in a way if you get somebody on your inside like that and you over-rotate as you try and turn into the corner. If they're on your outside, they're going to block that rotation and you're just going to go straight forward into the gravel. So in a way, it's fine. You know, you can make those kind of very aggressive defensive moves in these cars and not suffer too badly for it.
And Brzezinski is right on the back of Borges once again. It seems turn 5 is a bit of a slow corner for Borges. And I've noticed that Borges, I think, is it? Yeah, it's Borges who's dropped off a lot off the leading trio, and that has allowed him to be really, has allowed the two behind to really attack him. Look, there's like right up the gear, but there's like no breathing space between them at all. It's suffocatingly close.
But you get
he's got a great run on the straight here, Brzezinski. And is he going to try around the outside, or he's trying to on the dummy here, trying to see which way around he'll seed, if at all. And they're right side by side there. He's going to try and push him out, and this is going to help Berenguer behind to maybe take advantage. I think he's gotten ahead of Brzezinski.
Absolutely.
I can't tell because the cars are identical. Even the numbers the same, I think. Number 1.
I mean, punchy stuff there from Borges, just running him off the track on the way out of the corner. I mean, there's no traction out there. That's why we see him struggling to get the power down and just push up the hill on the way out of the hairpin. So, you know, it's a...
And has Balesta made a mistake because he seems to be not quite so close to the back of Kvyatniewski? It looks like he's being more challenged by Wisniewski right now. What was his last lap? Trying to figure out what his last lap was. Miguel Balesta set off 51.9, whereas Kvyatniewski set 51.8, and Wisniewski set 51.7. So yeah, definitely they're all converging again, which is lovely, which is exactly what we want to see in terms of a tasty championship battle. But it's not what either of those three want.
Oh, right, exactly. I mean, all three of those guys at the front, I mean, we're on board here with Brzezinski just still threatening Borges just ahead. He wants that position badly.
He's found some room around the outside here.
He's going to have to give him space.
Alongside the rear tyre, but Borges has got the position. He's kept it under control, but he's not got the best run out of turn 5 once again, and that might leave him a bit vulnerable. Looks like he'll be safe into turn 7, but needs to keep the momentum back on. He goes way over the curb there. Oh, very wide. And he loses control, and I think Brzezinski's going through into 4th place here.
The way Borges has dropped off this leading pack and the way he's now being threatened by the guys behind, I wonder if he's carrying damage. I mean, maybe there was a collision in the first lap that we didn't see, but he's off the
sorry
pace.
About the first lap where we were lagging a little bit and we couldn't really tell exactly what was going on. I apologise for that, but not sure if it was my connection or anything. But yeah, as we see, but Borges definitely, you're right. He's been falling off the pace for a while now, and as we see the leading trio once again, our attention's diverted back to those guys. But yeah, Borges in trouble, might be saving tyres, but yeah, it might be interesting to see if he is sustaining damage to a tyre or something, to a suspension maybe.
And we're seeing Kvyatniewski here moving right to the right hand side. You don't want my draft.
Oh, there's a lap car in the way. That could have been really dangerous for Kvyatniewski, but he's able to negotiate it. Amazing speed down the straight, 249 kilometers per hour.
Absolutely, just hanging it now into turn 3, still absolutely on his bumper. I mean, you don't get the same sort of problems you might have in a Formula 1 car, although we're seeing Balesta there understeer a little bit wide. You don't get the same kind of dirty air problems here, just because the cars don't have that complicated an aero system on them. They don't produce that much of a turbulent air behind them, and so you're able to track behind each other even through fast corners like that, very, very close. That's exactly what we're seeing Balesta do, as he puts the pressure on Kvyatniewski.
Yeah, and Kvyatniewski doing a really good job so far. He's clearly, we saw in qualifying, he wasn't as fast as Balesta, but he has soaked up the pressure, managed the gap, not trying to make any mistakes, trying to pull away. He's just driven his own race and driving very much within himself, but that has that means he's had to hold off 2 cars now, not just one. He's right on the outside here. Balesta's not quite close enough to do a dive bomb down the inside, but yeah.
Absolutely.
As we talked about a little bit in the Long Beach race in Road to Vegas about being in the middle of a 3-car fight, and Balesta's having to defend almost as much as he's having to attack. And that is really hurting him, as we see Borges making another mistake now, down in 5th place.
That's right, and Brzezinski, I mean, where has he gone? Just disappeared off into the distance.
3 seconds up the road, yeah.
3 seconds up the road.
Brzezinski is going to spoil the party for the top 3 if they keep fighting with each other.
I mean, you know, it says it all, doesn't it? Borges, you know, qualified incredibly well. He's not running his pace at the moment, and that's a touch, isn't it? And you can just see that was Berenguer trying to overtake Borges far from rotating, and that's why we see him just running wide like that. These things really rely on their...
Berenguer losing position to Oliver Holdner, who's making a few places up the field here, so after a slightly slow, solid start, Oliver Holdner is now really starting to make inroads, and he'll be the next challenge Borges. I wonder if Berenguer has actually hit trouble there.
Yeah. I mean, here we go. We're back with the top three now, and I mean, I'm surprised to see Ballester still putting this kind of pressure on Kwiatkowski. He knows it's lap 6 of 14. He knows there's a half of this race to go. He can't afford to be, throwing the move on every corner, always threatening, always putting his car right up there. He needs to chill, make sure his tyres are going to last the race, and just get to the end. I mean, otherwise we're going to see him dropping off this lead pack towards the end of the race.
Yes, but he knows that if there's a chance to get past Kwiatkowski, and he knows he's fast, there's a sense of frustration you sense a little bit in his driving, that he might try something desperate here if he gets too frustrated. But we know how good Ballester is. He'll hopefully be able to control his temper, and not undo himself in the latter stages with tyre wear or any other issue. But yeah, it's very tense right now, and you can just see every time Kwiatkowski makes a little mistake, that you can tell what Ballester is thinking. You're thinking, I want to be in there, but I'm not quite close enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's super difficult, isn't it, to throw the Banzai on.
Great to ride on board with him here. This is a really thrilling camera.
Fantastic, because you see him bumping through that last sector. These little tight sprung SEATs just...
Yeah, he's moving to the inside, defending all the time, Kwiatkowski, down the straight, and I wonder if he's got a little bit of a run, maybe to the outside, or is he going to stick to the inside here? Yeah, he's sticking for the inside, yeah. Oh, I think he was thinking about it, but he's not gone for it.
It's brave of him.
Ballester.
Yeah, I mean, difficult, isn't it, with a move like that, judging whether or not you can throw that Banzai in there. I mean, you could see he was thinking about it for a second or two, then he just ducked back on the racing line, made sure he didn't lose speed around T1, and kept himself in contention for a move later on in the lap.
And someone was being warned for track limits there. I didn't quite catch who it was, but that was what we were hearing over the. That's what we were hearing from the race stewards there very briefly. And I wonder. I'm not sure if that was any of the title contenders, but it sounded a bit more. Perhaps it might be related to Borges or Ballester's troubles. No, not Ballester. Yeah, Berenguer, who's dropped back behind Borges. One of those two, I think, might have been the one that went over the track limit, or it could have been someone further down. Not certain I heard the name, as we see Ballester once again right next to... Really, he's going for it this time. He's all touch bumpers with him, but he's still in second place. So Kwiatkowski heart in mouth moment there for his lead of the race, and trying to take the lead of the championship at the same time too. You see a little bit of
not
squabbling.
taking his normal braking line, was he? Right, aiming for the apex from quite an early point. It's making sure that there was a ever decreasing gap of road between him and the inside of that corner as he braked into it. And Ballester absolutely right to get out of that. Wisniewski here though in third. I mean, he's doing a stellar job just waiting behind. It's almost the only thing you can do. If you're too careless with two guys battling ahead, you can very easily force a nasty mistake of somebody in front of you that can end your own race. So he's driving a mature race there in third, waiting around, and I think it might end up being Christmas Day for him at some point if Ballester and Kwiatkowski get too punchy with each other. We'll see him just whip by.
Yeah, and he was definitely biding his time a bit. You can tell when you're following two leaders, you don't want to get right behind the man in second place, because if something happens and it looks like they've been close to contact several times, you want to make sure there's a little bit of a gap so you have slightly more time to react. It's all about anticipating what the guys ahead are doing, or going to do rather, not what they're actually doing. You can see that.
Yeah, I've got to say this is a great sort of first race of the weekend for this final race of the Cloud Sport SEAT Leon Cup, because
absolutely,
really this is the season. These three guys battling it out for the win.
Once again, Ballester gets a good run into turn 9. Is he going to try again that move into turn 10 that we saw him practicing? It looks like Kwiatkowski's seen it coming this time. It got correct to the inside, but can Ballester go all the way around the outside? No, he's been cut off. Okay.
Almost goes for the undercut though. He tried his best, but just Kwiatkowski parking it on the apex and
Yeah,
saying,
beautiful driving from Kwiatkowski in the blue SEAT Leon.
exactly, just saying you are not going to carry that speed through the corner, Ballester. You're going to have to
Oh,
get
and
back on the
we've just heard
brakes.
a message from the race stewards warning to Kwiatkowski only one change of direction in the straight allowed. So we're praising Kwiatkowski for his punchy driving, but maybe he might be disobeying the rules, or I'd really hate to see a steward's penalty decide the championship here in this fashion. So I do hope that Kwiatkowski knows about this and starts driving accordingly within the rules, and the stewards don't see fit to punish him, that he can just get away with that warning. But yeah, that has a potential to really make this battle a lot more controversial. But so far, I think it's been relatively clean. But yeah, he's been, especially coming out of, I think it's specifically the main straight and approaching from turn 9 to 10, that they've had that problem with the change of direction. But let's see.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of grey area in these kind of what's allowed as a defending move and what isn't, and you just have to react to sort of each new marshal for each new series. I mean, we're seeing this a lot in Formula One at the moment, aren't we? With Max Verstappen, who's come up through a lot of sim racing
Of course, I was going to
series.
mention that.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just challenging the FIA all the time about what is appropriate defensive driving and what isn't. You know,
Yeah, whether you're allowed to move in the braking zone specifically, and they've, for the United States Grand Prix, which happens later today, they've introduced a rule that sort of tries to discourage him or stop him from doing that sort of driving, and he's not responded well to that at all.
the Max Verstappen
Apparently, he's
rule.
not been the only one doing it as well, so I'm not sure. There's a little bit of real life stuff that's been reflected in the sim racing world as well, which is always politically quite interesting, but let's hope it doesn't spoil this battle, like I said. But it's been brilliant so far to see this sustained attack from Ballester, even if it might undo his tyres. But bump there. He's hit the back of Kwiatkowski going into the chicane, but I think both have gotten away with it. I hope that Kwiatkowski hasn't been too destabilised. It doesn't look like it. But yeah, now Ballester under attack from Wisniewski behind a little more. So he needs to make sure when he does those kind of moves that there is a gap and that he commits to it. With only 4 laps left of the race now. So the tension is really building, because he knows if he wants to get by, he needs to do it sharpish.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, awesome to see. He's I mean, he tried that move in the last sector, bumped off him a little bit. We saw him run wide before the last corner. I was actually thinking maybe he wasn't going to get a great run on the straight, and we are going to see Wisniewski coming through on him. But I think Ballester a little bit lucky to get away with that one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just how many risks is Ballester going to take, because he can afford to finish second, I think, and still come away into the final race with a narrow lead in the championship. I think, if I've got the points right, because he is 4 points ahead of Kwiatkowski. As there's contact, as Wisniewski's forcing his way through down the inside at turn 5. And this is dramatic. Is Ballester going to hold on round the outside? He's marginally ahead, but heart in mouth stuff for the championship leader. It's Wisniewski in the orange car, really pressuring him there, for punishing him for a little mistake there.
Absolutely, and we were on board with Ballester while Wisniewski was making that move from behind.
As we see a replay here, it's like I was talking about. You can try and dive bomb into turn 5, and the two front right for Wisniewski and front left for Ballester both make contact, and yes, it's just a really tense moment there, and they're lucky to get away with it. But that's given Kwiatkowski a bit of breathing space.
Yes, he'll be thankful for that. I think he's going to, buy a pint for Wisniewski tonight, I think. Just say thanks for the couple of laps that you gave me without Ballester breathing down my neck. But I think we're going to see Ballester here really turn on the magnets and see whether or not he can suck back up to Kwiatkowski before the end of this race.
It's like Wisniewski and Ballester squabbling like a bunch of children over the scraps, while Kwiatkowski is coming away with a big prize from this race. It looks, with 3 laps left to go.
Absolutely.
I think this lap is going to be spent catching back up if he can. As you cut back to Brzezinski, having a quiet race in 4th, 11 seconds down. Well, 10 seconds actually. Yeah, the timing's a bit fluctuating a little bit, but he's not closed in on the leaders like we thought he might. The gap at the front is still half a second.
That's right. Brzezinski there, followed by Holdner. Now we're on board with Borges just behind Holdner. Borges having a tough race here. We've seen him be off the pace from the start. and it's been a difficult defensive drive from him. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear later on that this was a recovery race after a first lap incident. Followed by Jimenez in 7th place. Had a bit of a quiet race here, just turning around. I think we saw him getting lapped earlier on.
Yeah, I think we did. So the guys near the back sort of. We were surprising seeing that the race is so short that they were being lapped, but they've not had too much of an effect on the lead battle here. As we see the positions remaining the same. Wisniewski right on the tailpipe of Miguel Ballester, who's in turn right on the tailpipe of Christian Kwiatkowski.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is breathless, not what you expect from race 1, so you can only imagine what race 2 is going to be like.
Yeah, Ballester will have a... Oh, look at that, just throwing it into the corner, there's a crash.
Yeah, and Ballester's sort of lost out slightly in that. We're not sure who that was in the yellow car. It wasn't Borges, was it? Because Borges' car is yellow. So we'll have to see on the timing screens if anyone's dropping down. DNF Juan Puyo. So Juan Puyo looks like he made a mistake. I did see him dropping down a position there, but he crashed out on lap 3, I think. So someone else might have.
We're seeing Wisniewski here
Sancho,
threatening
Angel
Ballester on the
Sancho,
first corner, not making the move in the end. Yeah, I think that may have been Sancho. It's hard to tell. The yellow. I didn't see anyone moving down the position, so Sancho currently taking up the rear of the race in 15th, so we have to assume that it's
Wisniewski got a good run into from turn 3 on Ballester here. He might try... No, sensibly decides to back out of that one, but can he keep the momentum and try it again into turn 5 like we saw him doing a few laps ago, and this time on the outside of Ballester. But he switches! That's some clever stuff, but it's not quite worked out for him because he just wasn't alongside enough, didn't quite have the momentum that he needed. But as long as he's swerving around in the mirrors of Ballester, then that can keep putting him under pressure. And I think it's the pressure from Wisniewski that has enabled Kwiatkowski to keep the lead from Ballester for so long.
I agree. I mean, clever racing from Wisniewski here. He's been very mature. He's waited 12 laps before he's really turned it on, and now with 2 laps remaining in this race,
and he's pushed the rules to their limits as well.
He certainly has.
So watching a replay here, I wasn't sure what that was. Obviously, wasn't too important. That might have been the car that crashed out. Wasn't sure who it was, but we think it was Angel Sancho. I know it's Javier Navarro who's crashed out on lap 11. So sorry, Angel, I got mixed up there. But yeah, he was the one who went. Obviously, for some reason, lost control and went straight on into the barrier ahead of the final 3 corners.
Wisniewski with an air conditioning unit full of Ballester's fumes there, just
yes, right alongside. Sorry,
head to toe there, and now pushing around the outside of the main straight.
Yeah, here we go. And Ballester should have the inside, so he should be able to hold it off, but they're right with each other. And is it going to turn into the inside? No, it isn't, because Ballester switches back underneath him. So, but a heart-in-mouth moment here on the last lap, and it looks like Ballester is going to have to pull out all the stops to keep Wisniewski behind him.
Absolutely, and every corner now Wisniewski showing that little gap in Ballester's mirrors, just making sure that he knows I want that place, I'm not giving up.
Is this going to happen? There's contact a little bit again. I don't think he's close enough this time unless he can switch underneath, get a good run out of the corner. As we see Juan Ibev taking 8th place from Miguel further down. But yes, right on the gearbox, this is really tense stuff with the championship up for grabs. And I think Wisniewski knows if he cannot get by Ballester, then his title hopes are over, as he's going alongside into turn 9, almost, but not quite close enough. And it looks like that's his momentum gone, maybe, unless he can do something special in the last few corners.
Ballester absolutely wiping Wisniewski's nose there on the way into turn, the fast right-hander. Kwiatkowski, though, coming round the last sector. Dominant performance from Kwiatkowski.
I'm so hesitant to watch Kwiatkowski because there's battle right behind him. Miguel Balesta driving the widest SEAT Leon you have ever seen. With Wisniewski now going down the inside, they're side by side, they make contact again into the final few corners of the race, but Balesta holding the line, keeping him behind. Also we think, oh, they're right side by side with each other. Oh, but he's just holding them off again, and Wisniewski could not be trying any harder, but the winner is Christian Wisniewski, who takes the win at the first race at Barcelona, right side by side on the line. And Balesta, I think, got overtaken briefly there, but managed to get it back over the line and take second place from Wisniewski. Wow, what a finish. As we see Brzezinski taking fourth, Oliver Holdner in fifth, Jairo Borges in sixth, Diego Jimenez in seventh, Juan Ibanez in eighth, Jose Berengo in ninth, and Miguel Morgel dropping down to 10th in the end and actually DNFing. So, and a couple of guys behind him. Bernd Rossmeyer still running, Mikel Choperena retiring, Angel Santra actually finishing ahead of Mikel Choperena, and David Unzu in 14th will also go up to 13th, I think, if he's still on the lead lap. But wow.
And there we are, the run to the line. Fantastic. Between Miguel Balesta there and Wisniewski. He wanted it all lap and he couldn't have it. Amazing driving.
That was a breathless finish, and fair play to Wisniewski. I don't think he could have done anything more to try and take second place from Balesta there, but that means that in terms of the title, I think he's the one with the outsider chance going into the last race of the Cloud Sport SEAT Leon Eurocup. And it's really Kwiatkowski and Balesta who, I think there can't be many points between them. I don't remember how many you get for a win in second place, but it must be close.
Get our maths books out, aren't we?
I believe Kwiatkowski is still in second place, maybe 1 or 2 points behind Balesta, but yeah, I think I'm much less certain that Balesta's going to take it now after that. Especially, but remember, it'll be the reverse grid race, and Balesta will be behind Wisniewski for the second race, and we saw that how much of a threat Wisniewski was. When we see the tables turned, is it going to be revenge for Wisniewski? Is he going to keep Balesta from taking the title in the last race?
Yeah.
But yeah, Oliver Holdner will start on pole from Brzezinski then.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, like you said, you touched on this during the race as well. Kwiatkowski, I mean, just soaking up the pressure from Balesta throughout that race. Just completely, unfazed, kept his line, kept the apexes. And Balesta really never got a sniff. He was always on his bumper, but he never had that opportunity to get through.
And it's just gone 7 o'clock where I am, so I'm a bit worried I may have to head off and eat some dinner very quickly in the gap in between the two races now. But, really enjoyed that race, and I'm really excited to see who's going to take it. So I may have to leave you temporarily, Ali, just to check what's going on with the family meal downstairs. But
that's all good. Let's take a short break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes, just with the rest of this race meeting today.
You want to introduce yourself?
Online. If you just joined us, you've missed some cracking racing. There was an amazing three-way battle in the previous race between Kwiatkowski and Ballester. It was amazing to see the three championship contenders bringing it all out in order to bring home the points for that race. Some people saying Ballester a little bit forceful in the final part of that race. What do you think, Ed?
Well, I think you can say, oh, who's the blocker, and especially we saw Kwiatkowski in the lead, blocking in turn from Ballester and being warned by the stewards briefly about that. But thankfully, no further action was taken. I understand, but yeah, I think when you're in that position, you've got to do everything you can to defend it and worry about what the stewards say afterwards. But I don't know. I didn't see anything. We didn't see all of it, but I didn't see anything too bad from Ballester. It was sort of borderline, but I can understand why Wisniewski and his supporters would be a bit frustrated to see that. Right now, we're just watching the warm-up ahead of the final reverse grid race, where the top five are reversed, and so we will see two non-title contenders ahead of those three, and we'll have Wisniewski ahead of Ballester getting his revenge on him, while Kwiatkowski, and Ballester will be right together, but with Kwiatkowski behind. I think he's behind in the championship by a point, and behind in the race as well. So Ballester's still in a position to win this, despite having such a shaky first race by his standards, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if we thought that first race was manic, I think this second one is going to be absolutely off the hook. I mean, Ballester and Kwiatkowski coming in, as you say, 1 point separating them.
Well, we think it's
little.
1 point. I've not done the math on that.
It's going to be incredibly tight either way. A small championship lead for Ballester coming into the event here, and Kwiatkowski certainly having a little nibble at it in the last race, winning it quite nicely in the end, with thanks to Wisniewski putting a lot of pressure on Ballester towards the end.
Yeah, and we were saying in commentary of Kwiatkowski doing a fabulous job there, and sort of took advantage at the start and was able to. It was very back and forth on the first lap between the top three, but going into, I think it was turn 4, both Ballester and Wisniewski, in a sort of mirroring what happened at the end, they got caught up with one another, and that allowed Kwiatkowski to go down the inside and to take the lead, which he never lost for the rest of the race. And defending from Ballester was tough but fair, and it probably deserved a little bit of warning for changing direction one too many times. and sort of not giving Balesta good enough room to get through. But it was fair overall, and hopefully it was way more exciting for the championship that Balesta got stuck behind, I think.
I agree completely. I mean, yeah, there were a couple of points there. I mean, all these drivers, of course, have great respect for each other, getting towards the pointy end of the competition now, and we're seeing people, I mean, making moves that are a little bit looking a little bit desperate, looking a little bit like they're really, do or die, I will not let you pass, or I really need to get past at this corner. So it's a little bit sort of getting a little bit raggedy at the front end, but at the same time, this isn't Formula One. We're not looking at something with 1,000 different aerodynamic pieces sticking out of it. These are little hatchback races, and so they can handle a little bit of bumping.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of, you need to find a fine line between leaving racing room a little bit and having some respect from each other, and also going for risky moves when there's an opportunity to get one. And Nikodem Wisniewski, there's some kind of thing, because we were talking about him going for dive bombing moves and sort of, but I can sort of understand why you would feel that sort of frustration being the third guy in the chain, desperately trying to make his way through. But anyway, either way, fascinating, encounter, and like we say, it's going to be all over again in race 2, perhaps even more so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a really manic race. We've seen some great racing from these inverted grids earlier on in the season. Brilliant moves through the field from some of those guys. Pole position, starting on 10th here, so that's Balesta in 10th position. It's a big ask to get up to the win, and I don't think we've seen anyone do it yet, come through from 10th place to win the race.
And we say that Oliver Holdner is going to be on pole, I think, because he came 5th. It was either him or the other guy, I can't remember his name, but yeah, it looks like Holdner might have a good chance to get his first win here, as he sees fastest in the warm-up as well so far, of the 9 minutes that we've had. And so the guys are up front. They may be able to take advantage of the fact that the championship leaders cannot afford to get caught up in incidents with each other or with other drivers, and that might enable them to perhaps pull away at the front while the championship leaders dispute the outcome of the title between themselves.
Exactly. I mean, if we see Balesta and Kwiatkowski finishing close to each other, maybe Kwiatkowski one place ahead, this could be a tie at the end of the championship. I don't even know what happens then. I don't know what that goes to.
Did they do King Solomon? Do they split the car in half? SEAT Leon, they win as a driver.
That's right.
Wins part of it, or do they both? Well, there's 2 seats in the car. I guess maybe they swap midway through the race. I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine Kwiatkowski or Balesta would be awful backseat drivers. They wouldn't be. You wouldn't want them in the passenger seat.
They just get Wisniewski just banging on the bumper, trying to push them along if the engine fails or something.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they all 3 of them. I mean, we joke, but all 3 of them deserve this title.
Absolutely, yeah.
Raced fantastically through this, and if there was a way of having them all going around the track with the grand prize, that would of course be amazing. But there can only be one winner. There's only one prize at the top of this, and so we need to see who's going to do it, and we're going to find out with this race that's coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and I believe I'll let you do the start of it, obviously, so because it's the most important race. So. And so much excitement, really. I'm struggling. I'm speechless after that. So I'm going to be. I'm either going to go crazy or I'm going to be even more speechless after this one. But exactly. It depends. The start is going to be so crucial here, because we saw Balesta put himself on the back foot in a vulnerable position after making a bad start in the first race. This time he needs to get the start right, and it could transform his race. He may be able to jump some of the non-championship contenders, and that might help him in his quest to take the title despite this late challenge, the 11th hour challenge from Christian Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, I mean, 11th hour, as you say. Yeah, I mean, he's got it where it counts, hasn't he? You can lead the championship for two out of the 3 rounds, but it's only the result at the end that counts. So yeah, Kwiatkowski turning it on at just the right moment. And yeah, the start is going to be super important here. It's going to be all about the beginning of the race in a way. I mean, provided that Balesta and Kwiatkowski can get away without being too far away from one another, provided they're at least within fighting distance, we're gonna have a race on our hands. Seeing them battling it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be. We made, like I said, it was very difficult to overtake, but we may see a lot of attempts to do so, and a lot of very close, occasionally side by side, but mostly bumper to bumper action.
Exactly. I mean, if there isn't a gap, these guys are very willing to make one. Just stick their nose up there and just make sure they, push them a little bit off the apex. It's all good in this.
Yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to see maybe an incident during this race, and I think at least one of the contenders is going to be involved in it. There's going to be some contact here because rubbing is racing.
It certainly is. Yeah, in this field, it definitely is.
And they're still riled up from the last race as well. There might be Wisniewski, of course, doesn't want to let Balesta through at all after what happened there. He was denied essentially in that last race. So there's a bit of bad blood, maybe. Well, not bad blood, because I'm sure they all get along really well, but as that sort of, sort of extra motivation and sort of reasoning, even though his chances are very remote of winning the title, to make it life hard for the guys behind him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Wisniewski, he's not out of this yet. Third place, sure, the gap has widened a little bit between him and the two guys ahead. But he's not out of it by any means.
And he's in the best position of the three, of course. Yeah.
Exactly. If he gets a cracking start, if he sees himself up into the top three, he's going to be absolutely in with a chance at this championship.
He starts third, doesn't he? Yeah, he starts third, I think. Or is it? Yeah, it's top five that are reversed, so he would start third in that case, because he's the only one that stays in the same position then.
I think it's even more than that. I think it might be the top 10 that's reversed
for
this next race. Yeah,
so misinformed about that.
Yeah, so he's going to be all the way down in 8th position. So yeah, I mean, not a perfect place to start from, but it's one better than 9th and it's two better than 10th. So he's got that chance, he's got that opportunity to really to make the most of this race.
Yeah, so whilst we do the warm-up lap, I'll go through the grid and you can commentate over the start. If that's
perfect.
That's probably the best way to do it. Well, we're still waiting for them to get it underway now. This is a long warm-up, I think. Building the tension further if it were needed. And so we've half the warm-up's been used up. 15 minutes, 14 minutes so far, nearly 15. And I think maybe there was a little kerfuffle at the end of the last race that they're still working out, and between the stewards and making sure that the racing was fair. They don't need to apply any penalties. If there are any penalties applied, I'm sure we'll hear about it as and when we get it. But the only real message we got was Kwiatkowski and his defending. As you see, is that Kwiatkowski just stopping and retiring? Wow,
yeah, that was shooting back to the pit lane. Yeah.
Well, I hope he doesn't do that during the race. That would be a disaster for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it's in his race strategy. Hopefully not. Hasn't got that planned in.
Very good time during the warm-up by Kwiatkowski. About a tenth off the pole time, I think, by Balesta that we saw. I think, which was a 50.5, and he set a 50.6. So.
Yeah. No, fantastic. A really quick time there from Kwiatkowski. So he's looking punchy coming into this session.
I think Kwiatkowski is starting to believe that he can do it now, and that's just sort of changing the way he's trying. He's not going to be on the defensive anymore. He's going to start getting on the attack, and that's not what Balesta wants at all. He wants to keep him behind and maybe have a nice quiet race to the title, but I don't think Kwiatkowski's going to let it happen.
No, exactly. If he's got anything to do with it, that is not going to be what comes up next. I mean, yeah, interesting that we're seeing a longer session here. I mean, maybe it's always ideal, of course, to sort of give out the penalties if there are any, as sort of grid penalties before the final race, rather than sort of having the championship chosen sort of well after the race is finished.
Just seriously going a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's practicing his overtaking move.
Yeah, it's just getting just imagining someone on the inside of him.
Yeah, sometimes it's always good to because. Sometimes in real life you rarely ever go offline where you'd need to be to overtake because that's the dirty line. There's not so much grip there, so sometimes it's good in order to sometimes just as well as mentally, sometimes in terms of just rubbering it in and sort of making sure that you can use the line as and when you need it. But turn 5 was definitely Nicodem's favourite spot from the looks of things to try and overtake, even though we saw it do some dive bombing a little bit, maybe trying to make something happen. But hopefully he can do that. Well, he can do it again, but he doesn't end up pushing someone off the track or causing an incident. I don't think he's a very sensible guy, but also a very driven guy, and he sort of consolidates the two sides very well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wisniewski, we saw some punchy driving from him through this session, but we saw some punchy and very robust defense as well from Ballester just ahead. And so it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other in the end, and I think it's fantastic racing that we're seeing. And I think that's most of it. You don't want to come down hard on these kinds of things. I would say just to keep it provided there's no one's out of the race or no one's off the track.
We have some provisional championship standings from the race stewards. We have Miguel Ballester on 197 points, still leading, but only by 2 points over Christian Kwiatniewski, who's on 195, and Nikodem Wisniewski is on 188. So Wisniewski 9 points behind, but Christian Kwiatniewski only 2. So it's looking like a 2-horse race, but Banner could be joined if the front two get stuck in the field and Wisniewski is able to make big progress.
Awesome.
Who would have thought it would be 2 points going into the last round? I mean, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be super close. It's going to be all about the start of this race and making sure that they get through cleanly, and that even if Ballester can't, for example, get in front of Kwiatniewski in the first corner, he needs to be around him. He needs to be close. If there's too many cars between the two of them, then it's going to be very difficult. For 14 laps for Ballester.
Yeah, but we can only really, the problem now with all this waiting is we can only really speculate about what's going to happen. What could end up happening could be even more bizarre and wildly imaginative than the stuff that we can dream up. I guarantee it. And but yeah, let's think about some of the drivers a little bit lower down. So I can't remember who finished 10th in the race. Like you say, it may just be that they're thinking about the grid order, and it was definitely I think it was it Miguel in 10th, or I think he dropped down to 10th. Yeah, so he'll probably be the guy on pole with the sort of mid to low top 10 runners right behind him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to see people like Oliver Holdener coming up from pretty decent positions here, and Borges as well, hopefully with a slightly better race than his first race. He seemed to be carrying damage, or he was certainly off the pace that first race.
Compared to qualifying,
yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how those guys, both very punchy racers, both sort of, able to bring home wins in this kind of situation. So it'll be interesting to see how they can sort of come up from, what will they be, sort of 5th on the grid, that kind of area, 5th or 4th.
It looks like this 30-minute must be practice session, because we know it's a reverse grid. So this 30-minute warm-up session is being driven to its fruition. It looks like so we're going to wait until the timer counts down. Then hopefully the race will be after, because we're starting to get a bit impatient here. But we know that it's not anyone's really fault. It's just the things that need to be worked through by the stewards, and we just have to be patient. But we're really excited. I just want to see how this championship goes, and I'm also kind of hungry too. I'm more excited than I am hungry, so I'm gonna start. And hopefully...
there's a way off there, yeah.
Exactly. There's a will, there's a way. And Wayne Ibanez, who we saw in the warm-up before the first race, was doing a bit of practice racing with the cars around him. Seems to be around one of the white cars. I'm not sure who that is. It could be I'm not sure who it is. Probably Oliver Holdener or someone of that ilk. And we see Angel. Yes, but Ibanez definitely likes to practice a little bit of racing. Not sure if it's intentional or arranged or anything, because it tends to get quite rough when he's doing the practice racing. So, and it doesn't seem to help him a huge lot in the actual races as well. He was sort of mid-pack and didn't really make a whole lot of progress. But yeah, Ibanez definitely doing a solid job, making a decent impression, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at the points here that the drivers get allocated at the end of the race.
Oh, is it different in the reverse grid?
I think it's the same as it was in the previous race. But But I mean, we're looking at. I mean, there's 2 points between the top two guys in the championship, right? And so it's 35 points
Yep,
for first,
that's correct.
31 for second, 28
As
for
we see the
third.
grid lining up now,
Ooh,
so
here we are.
it looks like we're gonna. No, because the warm-up's over now, so it looks like we're gonna do a bit of a warm-up lap, and then the final race of the season. It's gonna be all over. But what a great time we've had. So Juan Ibane is on pole. No wonder he was driving around. The cameras are focusing on him. As the lights get ready and they all go off on the warm-up lap. So let's take a look at the grid. As I just bring it up. Oh no, it's just appeared on screen. So Juan Ibanez is on pole, followed by Mikel Choperina. Jakub Brzezinski is in third. Jose Berenguer is in fourth. Oliver Holdner in fifth. Joe Borges in sixth. And then the first of our title contenders, Christian Kwiatkowski. Oh, that can't be right. Because Kwiatkowski, probably, but unless there's been some kind of grid shuffling here. Because it's showing Christian Kwiatkowski in 7th, Wisniewski in 8th, and Miguel Balesta in 9th.
I think that's how they qualified. That's the opposite of how they qualified with the first
race.
Oh,
it's because it's qualifying that's been reversed, not the race order. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that makes sense actually. And
yeah, exactly. So I mean, so we're seeing Kwiatkowski there 2 places ahead of Balesta, so a healthy head start, and he'll have Balesta right in his rearview mirrors at the start of this race.
So this has worked out perfectly for Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, exactly. And Balesta, I mean, if Kwiatkowski is higher than 3rd position in this race, he's won the championship. There's nothing that Balesta can do unless Balesta's ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, other than that, from 4th all the way down, it's a 2-point difference between the rest of the...
It's all about making progress and staying out of trouble. That's what this final is going to be all about.
Exactly. I mean, because, 3rd place... It's an ask, but it's not a big ask for these guys. They're running crazy lap times. Wisniewski and Balesta. So I mean, it's possible that over 14 laps they can find their way up there. But as you say, it's about a clean start. It's about keeping your nose clean. It's about making sure you preserve your tyres, and you're there when it matters at the end of the race.
Yes, so you'll be able to recognise Christian Kwiatkowski in the blue car, Nikodem Wisniewski in the orange car, and Balesta in the black car, the spelt black car. It looks black as night, really, and it's menacing when you see it coming up behind you.
Exactly, it's Darth SEAT, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I think Balesta, purely by being in the lead, is still in favourite position because they're so far down the field to win the championship, but I think Kwiatkowski, and because it's so close, I think Kwiatkowski is equal favourite with Balesta at this point, personally.
Yeah, it's anyone's game. I absolutely agree, and especially with the 2 places between them. We're just seeing Ibanez here coming up to his pole position spot on the grid. Is that the right?
Is it? I think they're on the right
on the left-hand side. Yeah, okay. So maybe Ibanez was just the 2nd car behind there.
Yeah, I think because we couldn't see who we're cutting to, so.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's trying to find their way through the middle there.
That's not where you qualified. Yeah, he finds the reverse gear.
I hope someone's taking his spot. Oh, he's battling. Oh, is that Wisniewski battling with Balesta before the race has begun?
David Unzo, unfortunately.
Oh, it's David Unzo.
But yeah, it's in those colours. He's trying to do the job for him. Here he is. Just,
that could get confusing later on in this race. With the
it can be difficult finding your grid spot. He needs a little GPS mapper on his SEAT, I think, just to make sure he gets it right.
I can imagine the steward screaming at him through the separate teams he can. But he's got in position now, so ready for the start.
Here we go. We're seeing all the lights on now. We're ready for the start of the final race. And that's a fine start from Ibanez, a little bit bogged down from Chopera. We're going to see him threatening, versus Brzezinski, threatening Ibanez on the first corner. He's not leaving him much space. That's 2 wheels on the grass
right
there.
Against the wall there.
He's thankful for the pit lane, which opens up in front of him, and we've got a great move from Brzezinski down the first straight, just taking that run and moving in. We can see a little black car there on the side of our spokes, and that's Balesta threatening
up to 6th position,
the blue car there of
Kwiatkowski.
Right fantastic. So Balesta getting the start of his dreams to move forward. Way though, Kwiatkowski and Balesta behind this battle, swapping positions over and over. Did I see some contact there? No, Brzezinski coming through on the first sector, followed by Ibanez, followed by Borges in 3rd. We thought he'd be a good fighter, and then Holdener after him in 4th. Kwiatkowski.
Or was that Borges trying to move down the inside, but didn't quite work out there?
And Balesta has fallen down to 10th position. There must have been contact.
Yes, I did see some contact in the rear wing mirror of whoever that was we were riding with. I believe it was Borges or Holdner. And Christian Kwiatkowski is in 5th now. Yeah, Miguel Balesta down in 10th, so I hope he hasn't sustained damage, because that could be a really bad anticlimax. But Kwiatkowski in prime position to take the championship right now. Wisniewski is in 9th, so Balesta is in a he's gone from a dream start to a nightmare scenario.
And there we see a replay of it, him catching the front end of his car across the front of, it was an orange one, I don't think it was Wisniewski, I think it might have been Brostmeyer, who just caught the rear end of Balesta's car and ended up dragging it through turn 3.
Oh, yeah, and there was a white car that had gone sideways down the inside there, so real carnage as we feared there would be. I did say there was going to be a collision, it was going to be one of the contenders. I didn't think it would be Balesta though, as we see Juan Ibanez chasing Brzezinski for the lead, but Ibanez not happy to lose his pole position so early in the race. So Kwiatkowski already up to 3rd, so he's got by Borges and Berenguer while we were watching the replay. And yeah, I think at this point you can't look past Kwiatkowski, but I don't think that is he still in the top 10? I don't think he is.
Balesta's in 11th place now, falling back.
He's just dropped down to 12th. He's behind Brostmeyer. I think there he is. Yeah, we've just seen him pass the screen now. Yeah.
Now Ibanez fighting for the lead of this race with Brzezinski. This is into turn 3. Ibanez showing him a lot of car in that mirror.
These two fights could be an easy win for Kwiatkowski, because we know how much pace he has inside. But they're right side by side right now, and Brzezinski has taken the lead from Ibanez once again. And so the order remains.
Balesta down in the last position of the race.
He must have sustained damage. This is disastrous for Balesta.
A great shame for him, a great shame. And just at the very, was it the 3rd corner of the race? So maybe getting a little bit punchy, doing some defensive movement.
Yeah, Choperena is DNF, which is why Balesta in 12th is now in last place. The other top contender, Wisniewski, is in 7th. He's not made quite the progress that Kwiatkowski has made. Oh, as we see Ibanez running wide, and that gives 2nd place to Kwiatkowski. Is Ibanez going to lose even more positions as Joe Borges and Jose Berenguer attempt to spread the pain a bit?
We're seeing a 5-way battle for the lead of this race. Just all of them nose to tail. So this is Brzezinski in the lead, followed by Kwiatkowski. Borges in 3rd, Ibanez 4th, and the last of that pack is Berenguer in the white and orange SEAT Leon.
Now Kwiatkowski only half a second behind Brzezinski now, so all he has to do is get by that final car, and then he can pull away and take what should presumably be an easy win, but he doesn't want to make a risky move on Brzezinski and find himself down the stands, because if he doesn't score, then Balesta wins the title.
Absolutely. Balesta here still in 12th place and putting in 159 laps. He must have sustained damage. That's a great shame for his title contention here in the final race of the series.
I do hope that he's not sustained damage, but I fear you're right. We'll see what kind of lap times he sets as the race progresses. I'll keep an eye on that as we see Kwiatkowski pressuring Brzezinski for the lead once again. Getting to turn 5, is he going to try around the outside? Doesn't look like it. He's going to hold back, and that's Borges behind him now. So you see once again the freeway pattern of trying to attack and defend. So Kwiatkowski doesn't need to win the race in order to win the championship. He does need to hold position.
Absolutely, but also these are racing drivers. They don't have an off button. He's going to want that win. He wants to win the championship in style if he can. We're seeing him now threatening down in the back straight of the track into the hairpin. He's going to have to look to the outside of the corner. And now we're seeing Brzezinski just covering off the line a little bit, leaving him space. A little bit of a turbo boost tap there from Borges for Kwiatkowski. Just pushing him up there.
A bit of ground there. Oh, a bit of contact there between Berenguer and Ibanez, I think. And Berenguer is down to 5th. Well, I think Wisniewski is right in there as well.
Yeah, Wisniewski up to 6th now, so he's behind this leading pack, but he's the next guy down the road. So he'll be turning the magnets on, and there you can see him already sucked up to the back of this pack, already threatening Berenguer in 5th position. So we can see Wisniewski here really pushing forward for this race.
Now, Wisniewski's objective here has got to be to put pressure on Kwiatkowski, pressure him into a mistake, because that's the only chance he has to win the SEAT Leon Eurocup title. Now, Ballester is pretty much out of it. I've been watching his times. He's 4 seconds off in the first sector, 2 seconds off in the second sector, and the third sector. Those two were the fastest sectors of the race for him, by the way, and 2 seconds off in the last sector. So yeah, he is still in that last lap. In fact, Ballester is in the pits now.
We're seeing him just come into the pits there. Maybe he's going to be able to get
as you see
repairs.
Kvitniewski challenging once again for the lead with Brzezinski. It looks like he's going to go around down the inside, but it's going to turn into the outside for turn 5. I'm not sure. He's going to have to be very brave to pull this off. He goes round the outside. I think he's done it, but Brzezinski won't let him go that easy.
He's got a good run out of the corner now, and Brzezinski on the quarter panel of his car is going to have to get punchy.
Late braking by Brzezinski. And he's managed to maintain the lead by the skin of his teeth. But going into turn 9, once again, he cannot get Kvitniewski off the back of him. He's on the back of him like a piece of chewing gum on the bottom of your shoe. You can't get rid of him. And it's just, and he's just pressuring him as much as he can, trying to force a mistake because he knows he has better pace than Brzezinski.
Kvitniewski racing hard here, and maybe taking a little bit too much out of his tyres. For the third lap of a 14-lap race, I mean, Bourget's behind. He's no fool, and he's going to hang around. He's going to watch this battle unfold, and he's doing a good job keeping his tyres together.
Wisniewski has gained a place. He's got by Angel Sancho in the squabble just behind. We saw a little bit of it now. Now he's got Barneff ahead of him, then Borges, and then Kvitniewski. So he's closing every car he gets by. He gets closer to a position to maybe force an error and take the title. But it's a lot of ifs.
It's a lot of ifs for Wisniewski, but he's always going to be there. He's always going to be pushing for it. Ballester out of the pits now.
Right now.
So he's still in this race, Miguel Ballester.
The damage. Well, let's see what his lap times are like. I don't think I'm not seeing a huge improvement, so I'm not sure if the damage is kind of terminal, but he's 103 seconds behind the lead now, so it is looking pretty dire for him.
We're seeing Kvitniewski here making a gap in turn 3 and threatening for the lead of this race. He's now a hair ahead on Brzezinski. He's managed to hold that line. Brzezinski coming back on the undercut out of turn 3. We're going to see Kvitniewski on the inside line here. Tricky stuff here, but this time round Kvitniewski is on the inside. So Brzezinski having to probably yield coming into this corner. There's only one.
Is he going to break late again? Let's see. Oh, they make contact. They're pushing right into each other. Don't crash out, guys. They both run wide, and can Borges take advantage? Going to get right alongside Brzezinski, and I'll have the inside line for turn 9. But Kvitniewski crucially taking the lead there, and that is surely going to be, as we see Wisniewski in 4th behind them, and surely hoping to take advantage of this scrap for second place that's going on. But Brzezinski has just held on to second place. Or has he? Because Borges is right alongside, going up the inside, and he's going to try and go round the outside as he goes all over the curb. And this is a really fierce battle for second place going on right now. I think they know that the leader is going to be out of reach.
We're going to see Kvitniewski here turn on warp drive, though, and he's going to become a spot in the distance very quickly, I suspect.
Well over the curve for Borges, and is Wisniewski going to take advantage of that? He's right behind now, going onto the back straight. Let's see what kind of run he gets. He goes for the outside. It looks like he's going to try the outside. And just got the front wheels alongside the rear wing, but not the rear tyre. I think Wisniewski hasn't been able to take advantage of that unless he goes round the outside, which he does, and he's trying, but that's going to... Yes, he's done it! Great move by Wisniewski.
Brilliant stuff there. You see him ducking in and out of Borges' draft down the main straight, just thinking he's just got his nose a little bit too far to be in there, and then tucking back in again. So brilliant stuff.
Yeah, and that was the fastest third sector time by Wisniewski on that last lap, I think. And he also has the fastest
banzai into turn 3, bringing it back towards Wisniewski, who's going to have to hold on there on the outside. And I think he's going to be too far back to make the move in turn 4.
Oh, no, we've seen him in turn 5 again, though. You know, he always breaks as late as he can. But has he got the best run out? Because Borges is still alongside him. He cannot shake him.
Been an epic battle between these two guys, and that's Borges back in front again. A little tap from Wisniewski is going to spoil his run out of that corner.
Oh, and now no, they crash each other. This is going to be disastrous for both drivers as Wisniewski has taken damage to the front bumper. Borges spins around, and Oliver Holdner takes third place from both of them, with Sancho going through as well. Wisniewski has got going again. I wonder if he's taken damage, and that's got to be his title hopes compromised. Look, And I'm not sure who was at fault there for that collision, but yeah, very
Tough
dramatic
racing from both
consequences.
guys. Yeah, I mean,
I think Borges lost out the most there.
Borges now down in 10th. The only guy behind him is Miguel Ballester, who's been in and out of the pits this race, but is now setting 150.2 is his lap time, as if to say,
Wow.
yeah, incredibly fast. So that's got
Yeah,
3
Ballester was
tenths.
very unlucky in that incident at the start, but it's not over yet. Maybe he can at least keep second place in the championship from Wisniewski, who's just lost a lot of points, a lot of places because of that collision. But Kwiatkowski, you said about him turning on warp drive. Brzezinski right behind him and challenging. He really doesn't want Brzezinski to take him out because that means Ballester would still be in it.
It's brilliant to see that Brzezinski is up there challenging Kwiatkowski. I was expecting him, as I said, to just run away with this, but he's done a brilliant job there, Brzezinski, keeping with him. It's going to keep the pressure on. But if there's anyone we've seen can take pressure, I mean, from the last race, race we just saw, it is Kwiatkowski. He held off Miguel Ballester for 14 laps of bumper-to-bumper stuff. So I think he's going to be
2 wins in a row for Kwiatkowski. Has anyone won 2 in a row in this series before?
I don't think so. This will be the first time if he manages to bring this home.
Yeah, there's still 12 laps left to go, so it's still a long way. As we cut to Unzu battling for 6th place with Jimenez, who's just got by him, and a bit of contact there. As we see shuffling in the pack, and Unzu losing out once again to whoever's in the blue car, which is
that's a Bernd Brostmeyer there, who's just gone through. Yeah. That's a 7th place Brostmeyer, so Unzu down to 8th.
Dropped down the field, but he's still ahead of Ballester. So Wisniewski, that was a really bad mistake. I'm not sure how to call that, because I mean, looking at the replay, I mean, it was Wisniewski on the inside, wasn't it? As we see Ballester re-entering the pits now. I'm not sure why. Has he sustained more damage, or is that him just calling it a day?
It's tough to say, isn't it? He may just be setting qualifying times, may just be going in and out of the pits.
Wisniewski's still going though, even though he's dropped back, but it definitely looks like that car has sustained an injury. As we see the incident again, he's on the inside, and I think Borges turned in on him a bit personally, but it's so marginal. I think one of them had to back off, and neither of them did. So the way
exactly,
we'll see what the stewards say. I think undoubtedly one of them will be penalised for it, but it would be a real shame for Wisniewski, regardless of what happens, really.
I mean, it's a very characteristic crash for these SEATs, and one that's very similar to, I think, what happened to Miguel Ballester in the first lap. You see the car in front kind of folding over the car behind. It's just a very loose rear. You end up getting a chip from the car behind on your rear quarter panel, and you'll just find yourself swinging round. So it's very easy to do in these cars. Borges there in the pits, I think looking for some repairs of his own. And Wisniewski has bound to take the opportunity to get one place up, so he's now into 9th place ahead of Borges, his old clashing buddy, and Ballester still in 11th.
Yes, only 11 drivers left in the race from the 13 starters, so because Choperena retiring on lap 2 and Wayne Ibanez retiring on lap 5. I'm not sure what happened. I can't remember what happened to Ibanez and all the drama that we've seen so far. But yeah, Oliver Holden are doing very well in 3rd place, I think, and that'd be a good result to end the season if he can keep the 3rd place, holding off Angel Sancho. So I hope Borges exiting the pits now. Ballester, I think too far behind. Ballester and Wisniewski too far behind to gain places. Wisniewski's 24 seconds behind Kwiatkowski now, and Brzezinski now. Kwiatkowski's pulled a 2nd gap to Brzezinski behind now. So the timing really telling the story there.
Exactly, looking a little bit safer now. About 5 car lengths there, isn't there? And it's not. He's out of range of any move from Brzezinski, sort of as things are. If he makes a mistake, if he makes a couple of mistakes in a row, Brzezinski can be right back on him. But as things are, he's not going to have to drive a defensive line or anything like that. He can just sit in his rhythm and really start putting in the lap times.
So I guess now all the title contenders either taking themselves out or continuing untroubled, as we see with Kwiatkowski. Then we've got to focus on the battles going on lower down, and right now we're watching Bernd Brostmeyer, who's fighting with Diego Jimenez for 6th position, and yeah, Brosmeyer a little bit too far behind in the blue car, I think.
Yeah, to throw a move right now, I agree. I mean, it wouldn't take much though from Jimenez just in front, like just a little slide. You know, these SEATs, they're really on their edge as they go around corners, and you can lose your momentum very easily. And we're seeing Brosmeyer here just getting a little bit of a better run out of the hairpin there, coming down the hill into this very tricky left-right. This is where we saw Wisniewski really meeting the end of his charge through the pack. And I mean, it wouldn't take many corners here for Brosmeyer to be able to throw a move on Jimenez.
Nah, not absolutely, but it really depends where the mistake comes, and also whether Brosmeyer can take advantage of it.
That's very true. I mean, it's so often you see, you know, the car ahead, it makes a little mistake, and then you're following along, and you make exactly the same mistake and waste your advantage.
Yeah, it is very easy to do because you get into a rhythm of following each other. You see Brzezinski still just about keeping the leader in touch, but Kwiatkowski looks like he's got it all under control. This is going to be a peach compared to the first race with 5 laps left to run. And do you think if Brzezinski starts to really set fastest laps and really close in on the back of Kwiatkowski, do you think that that Christian's going to back off and sort of let him have the win, knowing that he'll have the title?
I think that, you know, yeah, I think you can have a good head on your shoulders in a situation like this. I mean, Kwiatkowski would have known, you know, if I finish first, second, third, and Miguel is behind me, then it's fine. You know, it doesn't matter. And so I mean, he'll know that's Brzezinski. You know, it's not the Darth Vader lookalike just behind him. It's it's a nice white and orange one. So it's, you know, it
looks nice and friendly.
Exactly. I don't think he'd risk it personally. I mean, saying that, you know, we've said it before. These guys don't really have an off switch. I don't think he'd give it up very easily.
Yeah, we saw that Wisniewski didn't really have an off switch, and he made a risky move on Borges that ended his challenge. I think Balesta probably ruining the whole reverse grid format because he just got caught up in the carnage at the start with people spinning in front of him and getting collected by other cars, and it just destroyed his race and any chance he had at keeping his slender lead in the championship. So as you see Balesta going around now, you can't help but feel a bit sorry for him that events have slipped out of his grasp through no fault of his own. And it's still been a brilliant season in terms of, we saw his qualifying lap today, and it was only the start in the first race that really undid him, I think. Without that, he may be in a much stronger position right now.
I mean, 100%. Yeah, it's a great shame to see him not competing for the win of this race, chasing Kwiatkowski at the top of this field, which we all know he has the pace to do. We're seeing Brzezinski here right back on Kwiatkowski. I don't know how he managed that. Maybe a little mistake from Kwiatkowski, but the gap has come down to 0.3 of a second now. So
it might
within
be what
fighting
I was speaking
range.
about with Kwiatkowski, maybe thinking about not pushing too hard and maybe conceding the lead if he has to. But yeah, at least Balesta has chosen, despite having to make 2 pit stops, he's chosen to carry on with his race, and he's trying to battle on right to the very end, which I think is admirable. Especially given, I think other people might say, "Oh, well, this is hopeless. I'm just going to give up," but not him. So
absolutely,
yeah,
I share that
sentiment. Give credit for that.
Yeah, 100%. You know, an absolute sportsman for keeping going, and you know, it's a great shame, you know, all round not to see him here. You know, it was unlucky in the first lap of this race to see him get knocked off like that. At the same time, to some degree, you do make your own luck. You know, if he'd been a little bit less punchy, maybe. I mean, I think he turned in a little bit sharply across the nose of someone else. You know, maybe being a little bit too aggressive on the defensive work, maybe he would have come through there cleanly. And so, you know, yeah, I couldn't blame him for that, for what happened there. I think it was a racing incident, but at the same time, you know, you make your own luck.
Yeah. So anyway, reminding us of the potential championship standings if the order remains as is. Christian Kwiatkowski taking the win will go up to 223 points, and he will be champion of the Cloud Sports SEAT Leon Eurocup. Miguel Balesta will be on 212 points, and finishing in 11th. And Nikodem Wisniewski, who's in 9th or 10th right now, will be on 206 points, so it won't be enough to leapfrog Balesta despite the troubles being a few places ahead of him. As we're watching Brzezinski, yeah, you're right, he's still pressurising, particularly into turn 1, but Kwiatkowski, as we saw in the past, definitely has it under control, and you're right, I don't think, if he can avoid giving the win away, then he will, but it all depends on what Brzezinski chooses to do in these stages, the final stages of the race.
Agreed, yeah. I mean, I think Brzezinski, you can see him getting a little bit punchy in the braking zones. Maybe trying to scare Kwiatkowski a little bit. Just kind of like saying, oh, I haven't got anything to lose. You've got quite a lot to lose here, haven't you?
Yeah,
Replay
absolutely.
here. Is this...
Has someone gone off there? Yeah, one of the orange cars has gone off. Not sure who that is, but see if anyone has dramatically lost time on the timing screens. Now we see David Unzu has dropped behind Wisniewski. I think that was Wisniewski we were on board with. Okay.
So Brzezinski here still chasing for first place, still putting the pressure on Kwiatkowski. I mean, do you think he can do it? Do you think he's got it in him to throw this move on Kwiatkowski? The championship leader. Well, not yet, but this guy who's been absolutely dominant all season.
I think he does. Yeah. I mean, just look at the way he's driving at the moment. It's sort of, as long as he can shadow him and make sure, because if he pushes hard enough, then Kwiatkowski's bound to miss it. As we're seeing the replay of, I believe that's David Unzu, who's just retired. And I just heard the stewards, some radio from the stewards who said, who told David to press escape to retire. So yeah, that's a sad end to David's race. He had the potential to get a good little top 10 finish there. As we're 2 laps left to go, and Brzezinski still pressurising Kwiatkowski, but not finding a way through yet.
I mean, just through sheer force of people retiring from this race, we're now seeing Miguel Balesta up into 10th position. Still last in the race, last running contestant.
Oh, is he going around the outside, Brzezinski? Oh, he's making contact with Kwiatkowski, but is Christian going to be able to keep it hanging out around the outside into turn 5, or is Brzezinski going to go dive bomb him? Because he knows that maybe if he pushes hard, then Kwiatkowski will cede, and it looks like that's what's happened, unless Kwiatkowski gets a really good run out, which I don't think he has. And just dropped our connection there. I'm not sure quite how that played out, but it looked like Brzezinski had just taken the lead there.
Absolutely, I think the head overwhelming the heart there with Kwiatkowski. He would have wanted the win, but nonetheless, he's having to chase for that for first place.
Yes, and are we still? We've just been given a new code to have a look. So the closing stages of the race, it looks like Brzezinski has held that lead with Kwiatkowski 2 or 3 tenths behind. As I just I have to exit TeamViewer here.
Here we are. So yeah, Brzezinski having taken the lead now, still being chased by Kwiatkowski, but I don't expect to see him do anything too rough coming through here. He's got the win. He knows it. He can, you can say, Brzezinski, you can have it. You can have your one win in this. I'm taking the championship. I'm taking the drive.
Is there a bit of a showman going on here from Kwiatkowski? He thinks, I want to put on a nice little battle here to end the championship on. But the problem is, if he starts thinking like that, it's very easy for Brzezinski to tag a rear tyre, spin him off into retirement, and all of a sudden we're looking at a very different championship picture.
Absolutely, absolutely, that'd be fantastic to see.
Well, no, it would be horrible for Kwiatkowski,
but
such a brilliant performance. But
I think he'd still win it. I think there's still he's got a nice big lead over Balesta, I think. Yeah, but fantastic to see a little bit of battling towards the end of this race. And Kwiatkowski here keeping the pressure on Brzezinski. I'm not quite sure where all his pace disappeared to be honest. He was, Brzezinski wasn't, he's not slow, but he wasn't up there in the sort of low 150s like these guys were in the qualifying session. And yet somehow he's just turned it on, flicked the switch for this last race.
Perhaps a caution thing. He knew he had the title in his grasp and just decided not to risk it. and that allowed Brzezinski to take advantage. We also seeing Oliver Holdner holding third place from Jose Berengua, who's gained a bit of ground and overtaken Angel Sancho. But yeah, it doesn't look like the order is going to change too much in the last couple of corners. But we're going to see a new winner and a new champion, which is a really nice way for these two to end the season.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's been a stellar season for Kwiatkowski as well. You know, my favourite coming into this was Balesta, but I think Kwiatkowski, you know, you could see it in the points. He was right there, and he's been there when it mattered. So we're seeing now Brzezinski coming across the line for the last race of the Cloud Sports SEAT Leon Eurocup Online, but it's Kwiatkowski in second place who's celebrating because he's won the championship and the ride in the real SEAT Leon. So fantastic stuff. Olander Holdender coming in for third position, and we're seeing Berenga maybe coming through that last corner any second now for fourth, and there he is. So incredible racing, I think. From
congratulations to Christian then.
Yeah, exactly. What a drive, and he's turned it on exactly when he needed it. You know, the last race of the season, and it's the first time Balesta isn't in the lead.
Yeah. Anyway, brilliant end to the championship. Very exciting, very controversial. I'm sure everyone's got opinions on, you know, who was in the right, who was in the wrong with the various collisions, but can't deny that Kwiatkowski is the deserving champion. Anyway, I need to leave you now, but I'm sure we're going to have the top three coming in soon for an interview. So we're going to hear from our new champion, sort of what he thinks of the racing, how he did it. Might hear a bit about the first race as well, which was very tense. There's going to be a Spanish interview, and Ali, I think you're going to have to do the English bit. I need to go down and eat dinner now because I'm starving. But I'm really glad I got to see the end of that.
Ed, we'll catch you later on with some more Cloud Sport action in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Road to Vegas Paris is next week on the 30th, I think, is the final. So I'll see you in the semi-final on the 29th.
Perfect. Bye. So that concludes the SEAT Leon Eurocup Online. That was Brzezinski coming in first, Kwiatkowski in second, Holden a third, Berenga fourth, Sancho came in fifth, Brostmeyer sixth, Jimenez in seventh, and Wisniewski in eighth. And we've got Borges finishing off in ninth position and Miguel Balesta, the last of the still running guys, coming in 10th position. Unfortunate to see, you know, Balesta all those positions down from Kwiatkowski at the end of this championship, and that will decide that he's going to come in second in the end and not win that grand prize. So a great shame for Balesta, but at the same time his loss is Kwiatkowski's gain. You know, brilliant racing this weekend from Kwiatkowski. He's been peerless. The first and a second for him over the race weekend, and it's exactly what he needed in order to get this championship locked down. DNFs from David Unzo, Juan Ibanez, 12th position, and 13th place. That's Choparena coming in, I think retiring quite early in the race, lap 2, so that's a DNF for him. There you go, the race winner, Jakub Brzezinski. Fantastic to see him winning a race here at the Cloud Sport SEAT Leon Eurocup. You know, he's been there or thereabouts all these weeks along, and it's amazing to see him putting the pressure on Kwiatkowski towards the end of that race. You know, I think Kwiatkowski would have wanted to have ended with a win. You know, I mean, who doesn't, right? To get that kind of, you know, the wrap it up, you know, to have the championship and the race win all in one. But he'll have to settle for the second position. There's more action from Cloud Sport coming up in the coming weeks. We've got the Road to Vegas competition ongoing at the moment. That's a Formula E competition, and that's going to be the next round is in Paris. Now, if you're looking to get in on some of the sim racing action you're seeing here, the Road to Vegas is a 4-stop series, but only the top 3 results count. So I've had the first race of that series already, but you can still jump in, get going with it, and not really lose out on anything, because you'll just take your drop week on the first week and do the rest of the thing. So there's $1 million, $1 million, excuse me, being very English, aren't I? $1 million prize pool for the winner of that, not for the winner, for the winners of that race, and $200,000 for the winner. I think making it the largest prize pool of any competition ever for sim racing. And so it's going to be fantastic to see who can win through there. It's an all-star field. But yeah, the racing today, fantastic stuff. Seeing Kwiatkowski finally bring it to Ballester. Ballester throughout the season seemed completely unstoppable in a SEAT Leon. But Kwiatkowski has found a way to do it, and he's turned it on at exactly the right moment. We're just waiting now to get some interviews with the top drivers from that race. It's going to be interesting to see what they have to say about the racing. But it's going to be a cool moment to catch up with them. So, Christian, congratulations! You wrapped the title up just there in the final race. How does it feel?
Oh, very, very thanks. I'm very, very happy. I don't know that in the second race. So sorry for Miguel and Nico. Very bad the incident that he had. But I'm very happy. I think that I'm winner. I don't know if some position variation or no, but I'm so happy.
Fantastic to hear. I've got Ivan Iglesias here who can conduct some of the interviews in Spanish as well, so I'm really excited to introduce him.
Hello, everybody. Christian is going to do the interview also in Spanish, so he can answer the same question in Spanish also. Go ahead, Christian. In Spanish.
Bueno, puedo decir nada, que estoy muy contento, que no me lo creo, vamos. Y nada, solamente decir que ha sido un gran campeonato, que Miguel y Nico sinceramente les he visto más rápidos que yo, pero aquí también sobre todo. Saco unas cuantas décimas, pero bueno, la suerte, por decirlo así de una manera, me ha caído a mí, en la segunda carrera sobre todo. Y bueno, siempre me considero que me desenvuelvo bien contra muchos pilotos, cuando tengo a muchos delante. Y bueno, es suerte o no, pero sinceramente creo que he ganado y bueno, estoy muy contento por ello. Y también dar las gracias a Miguel, que las primeras carreras me ayudó bastante con los setups. Y nada, agradeceros también mucho a vosotros.
Jacob, moving over to you, if possible. A fantastic last race of the SEAT Leon Eurocup. You managed to grab that win. It's brilliant to see. Did you know when you were driving up to Christian that you might be able to sort of throw a move on him, or he might be a little bit less willing to battle?
Well, obviously
in the first race, I think that the win is the first lap, because in the first lap I can be the first position. That the start of the race, I think that is the winner of the race, I think.
Absolutely, I agree completely. It was both great races there. To Jacob Brzezinski, how did it feel making that move on the last race?
Oh, I only think sorry.
Christian, sorry, he's asking Jacob, not you. Sorry. Sorry.
What was the question again?
I was asking about the move you made on Kwiatkowski towards the end of the race. Firstly, congratulations, a fantastic win. I should say that first. And I was asking, really, I was interested about the move you made at the end of the race on Kwiatkowski. It was a great move, and it was just interesting to see, I couldn't work out whether or not you sort of were weighing it up in your mind. Do you know that the guy ahead, he has a lot to lose, and so you can kind of throw a move on him?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting him to let me through or something, because he didn't need to win, so I knew he wasn't gonna risk a lot, so I just went for it. I mean, why not?
Absolutely. That's cracking. Wisniewski, Nickdem Wisniewski, a very tricky last race there for you. I mean, you got caught up in an accident, I think, sort of midway through the race. What was your perspective on that?
Yeah, really messy race in my opinion. So yeah, I had a few contacts with other guys. So I don't know what who was victim, who was who fault in this accident. But anyway, yeah, big congrats to the Christian. He did a great job, and we are looking forward to another series. But you know, it's P3. It was nice racing. Not clean one on the last race, but unfortunately for me and for Miguel. But yeah, that's racing. So big congrats to the Jacob for the win and Christian for the win of the championship.
Completely agreed. And yeah, moving on there to Miguel. I mean, tough to see on the last race there. You know, the third corner, we didn't quite see what happened. Could you talk us through it?
Miguel,
Sí, dime.
¿puedes decirnos qué pasó en la tercera curva?
Bueno, ahí, la salida fue bastante buena. Encontré el exterior. Le voy a adelantar a Nicodem, a Christian por fuera también. Después Christian me la devolvió por interior y nada, Nicodem me arrolló en esa curva. Decidió que el campeonato se acabara para los dos y nada, ya el coche muy tocado. Después recibí otros 2 golpes más y nada. Adiós al campeonato y nada, una pena. Felicitar a mi gran amigo Christian que ha sido el mejor durante todo el campeonato. Ha tenido cabeza, ha sabido cuándo esperar, cuándo atacar. Esta carrera estuvo sublime, la primera he defendido bien. Y en esta ha sido el gran dominador, ha ganado las 2 mangas y le felicito y nada, decirle que intentaré estar allí en Motorland para verle y animarle como buen compañero y amigos que somos. Muchas gracias.
Una pena, Miguel. Pity, Miguel. The championship finished in the third turn. He has told that he tried to overtake on the outside on the first turn, and he took the outside of Nicodem, and later a contact led both out of the championship contender. And he has told that Christian has been very, very intelligent in all the championship, and that's the clue he has got it. And he has done a very good job, and he will be at Motorland supporting him because he's his teammate.
Brilliant, that's fantastic to hear. Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing finish to the season. And exactly, yeah, Christian, lastly to you, tell us about your prize. You're off to race a SEAT Leon in the real thing. You looking forward to that?
Christian?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
I was asking you about the prize. You're off to race the real thing now. Do you think that your sim racing skills are going to translate onto the real thing?
Oh, yes, I do that. It's possible to transmit the simulation to the real race. I never only one time I proved the real competition, but I do that all is possible.
Perfect, great to hear. Yeah, is it possible for you to do that again in Spanish? Is that okay?
Okay, better. Sorry for my English.
No, your English is great. It's much better than my Spanish.
Nada, decir que de la simulación a la vida real no he tenido tampoco mucha experiencia, no tengo mucha experiencia con la vida real, solo una vez, pero decir que intentaré, bueno, todas mis habilidades las intentaré aportar y veremos a ver. Tampoco sé todavía cómo va a ser la carrera, qué es lo que se va a correr en sí de quali, de prácticas, pero ya digo que daré todas mis habilidades posibles.
That's brilliant. I mean, all there is left to say on my side is, thank you all very much. I've really enjoyed watching you racing. It's been a fantastic season here at the Cloud Sport SEAT Leon Eurocup Online. So yeah, super excited, super exciting stuff to have watched. So thank you all very much.